Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in that wonderful technicolor rainbow in between, welcome to tonight's coverage of the Titan Esports Vanquisher League. I am What's It Pretty, and joining me tonight for our second week here, it's Turk. How you feeling tonight, Turk?
I am feeling great, Brady. I'm excited here. We got a good matchup tonight. We got NeoGen Xenos versus Vancouver ImPact. And we're looking like we're contesting here for a first spot at this point right now for NeoGen. So a lot of this game, a lot of the season, potentially the playoff bracket, whatnot, could be riding a little bit on this game. Of course, being able to get that win is going to be able to get you that much closer to that first spot. So we'll have to see how well both of these teams have prepared. And very much, I am excited, and I'm sure you are too.
Oh yeah, we are in week number 5, so we are officially over that midpoint hump and getting into the time where teams really start to solidify their playoff positions. So, like you mentioned, this matchup pretty important for both of these teams. Vancouver ImPact currently sitting at 2-2, looking to secure one of those last few top playoff spots. And if they win today, they can tie themselves with NeoGen up there at 3-1. But if NeoGen can take the win, they can maybe solidify themselves that sole first place position, or at the very least, stay tied for that first place spot in this Group B.
That's right. And of course, as we do move towards this series beginning, kind of really makes you wonder what the main priority picks are going to be. Vancouver ImPact does have blue for game 1, so that B1 is going to be very much impactful. And I wonder if it's going to be something like the Varus. Both of these AD carries do share that. Could be something like the Talia as well. Not so sure you want to go for the Talia right out of the gate, but nevertheless, there are going to be some contested picks here from both of these teams as we do move towards the draft. We'll have to see what these first bands come out as. Yeah, this is gonna be a good series. I think there's gonna be a lot of really high impact Fun League Legends for us to watch and for the players to play and for all the viewers to enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's what we're always hoping for. Immediately out the gate, that Ziggs is going to be taken away from both Vuso and Pax Sax, but I expect that to be more of a mid lane focus, and continuing the mid lane focus, that Ryze is going to be taken out as well. Ryze seems to have popped up a lot more in popularity recently. I know there have been a couple of TikTok clips of that big EQ combo where you flash before you Q, and you can get it ever so slightly delayed to get that second Q off. I'm not familiar with the intricacies. I just know it looks really cool.
It does, for sure. And actually, that Ryze pick, too, funnily enough, is actually a flex. We did see Koros pick that up. It would have been, I believe, last week, if not the week before. So, looks like NG has done some of their homework. As you can see, Im's bans coming through as well. The Amumu has been picked several times here by Profit, so I'm not too surprised to see that ban coming through either. Of course, that does mean that the Varus and both the Talia are still up on the table, so we'll have to see what's really prioritized here, as we really do kind of just wait here for this B1, but we see a few jungle bans coming through, and it looks like we're going to get that Varus, and by all means, that makes a lot of sense. You can flex that Varus in terms of lethality or an on-hit. Also, really good neutral champion, so it doesn't show your hand by any means. Strong laner, so a lot of angles for that. You're going to see the Sivir coming through. The Sivir is actually a pretty good answer into the Varus, tends to be able to push that champion quite well, but as we saw last week, it takes some time, Brady.
Yeah, I am a little surprised to see that almost the entirety of this first phase of bans has been pretty much player-focused bans and not anything of like these big meta picks that we've been seeing around a lot. Like you mentioned, that Varus making it all the way through. Just a lot of, hey, we know this guy plays this champion really well, so we're just going to take it away from him. We know the Amumu's a high priority, the Ryze is a high priority, and the flex pick, so we're just going to take these picks away, not even let them start to come through.
Yeah, it seems like comfort really is king here for both of these teams, as we do see that Karma coming in. Karma flex is possibility, very unlikely though. It's more than likely going to be that Varus Karma really jockeying for that Prow down on that bot side. You might see something like a Lulu being matched, maybe a Emilio being matched there. You might just see that trade for Enchanters coming through on this R3. Looks like we are going to get that Lulu, so not too surprising there at all to see come through. The Sejuani to me says, of course, you're going to need some melees, so whether it's in that mid or that top role, probably both, if I'm guessing at this point right now. Maybe you send something like a Sylas. We'll have to see. We'll have to see exactly what these teams are looking for as we do move into the Phase 2 bans.
The Sejuani always does make me nervous when you have that double ranged pick. Just seeing a ranged support paired up with Sejuani always does make me that little bit nervous, because there are teams who sometimes, just because Sejuani is good in a vacuum, they'll pick her up and then draft 4 ranged champions. They'll throw like Kayle in the top lane, Orianna mid with something like a Varus Karma bottom lane, and just say, hey, Sejuani, good luck proccing your passive. It's all on you. And if you don't get it, well, nothing we can do for you. I'm hoping to see at the very least one more melee, if not 2. I like the idea of the Sylas, especially given such strong ultimates like the Lulu and the Sivir, which can be really good utility picks. And now, especially with the Xin Zhao ultimate available as well, that Crescent Guard can be so helpful for a champion who is shorter range like Sylas.
100% right now. And it looks like That's pretty much an insta-lock there coming in from that Cho'Gath. Still
Okay.
technically a flex, more than likely going to be going top as we do wait to see what this B5 is coming through. So still a couple flexes on the side of IMP, but more than likely we're going to be seeing that mid lane come through. That's exactly what we do. So that Orianna, at this point right now, the Orianna into the Taliyah, you got to be feeling pretty good about that matchup if you're both sides, especially when you have a high agency jungler like the Xin. That's where you can really make some impact here. But NGE, I think they really need to round it out. They beat me to it, but I think they need to get some sort of bruiser there to really flush this team comp out, because right now you have really good scaling. You just need a bit more CC, you need a bit more frontline to be able to create the space for those carries that you have, and that's exactly what they've been able to do with that R5 Aatrox.
Yeah, I like the mid jungle 2v2 for NGE immediately off Cov Xin Zhao Taliyah is a combo that we've seen plenty of times. It's just good in the 2v2. If there is any sort of a skirmish, the Orianna's not going to have as much utility until level 6, where Taliyah does fall off a little bit. The wall is so useful, though, not only for roaming, but also for setting up plays, and Xin is just a disgustingly good early game champion. He will duel you, he will outfarm you, he will outfight you, he's going to do what Xin Zhao do. It makes the early game for the Sejuani Orianna a much more passive one. I'd like to see if they can start moving towards bottom lane, maybe. Top lane, you're playing Cho'Gath versus Aatrox. You're going to get hit by a lot of Qs. As long as you don't die, you're good. But bottom lane, if you can get your Varus Karma ahead, especially if the Varus is going for that poke build, you need him to be ahead. If you can roam down there, if you can get them ahead, push them ahead of the Sivir Lulu, which is a really good scaling bottom lane, you can start to feel a little bit more impact around the map. But if you can't push that advantage, I worry that IMP have drafted a lot of passive lanes that is going to allow Xin Zhao and especially Taliyah to really own the map.
Yeah, 100%. You're like, you hit the nail on the head when you say that. They've drafted a lot of passive lanes. Their bot lane should have the push, which is good news for them. So IMP should be playing really heavy towards that bot side. Of course, that Sejuani with that range support, a little bit of a mismatch in that regard. But of course, if you have that priority, it does allow the Sejuani to make some more money moves on the map. So we'll have to see what IMP is able to do with that. On the NGE side, when I'm taking a look at this team comp right now, like, I think it's really going to be that mid lane. It's going to be that mid jungle that's really going to want to be able to get unlocked if that Taliyah is able to start roaming, especially at that level 6 mark with that wall, as you mentioned previous too. I think that's where a lot of agency can really start. So NGE, I think they really need to be able to play through Vuso and Profit here in this game, see if they're actually able to get things going, because crucially too, Orianna doesn't really ramp up till about level 8, level 9. At that point there, you have a lot of the points into your basic abilities. That's where you can really start to trade. So pre-level 9, that Taliyah should have a bit of prio in that lane, should be able to make some moves, and we'll see exactly what NGE is able to do with that.
Yeah, I think there's also been, at the very least, a decent amount of discussion within Orianna player communities of, like, max order for Orianna in the current area. Because I know a lot of times the basic thing to do is just to max QW, then E, and just get the ball movement down so you can just have the active and able to reposition for that shockwave as much as possible. But if you're more confident in being able to move the ball properly and not as worried about the longer cooldown in the early game, Comet with W max has started to become a lot more popular. And I think arguably in a lane like this where you're going to have a much tougher time early, I might even prefer it just so you can get those bigger trades, wave clear that little bit better, try and one-shot those back 3 minions, and do a lot more damage with your shockwave pre-level like 11, 12.
Yeah, for sure. It really is. The big reason why you do end up maxing that W is because of that wave clear, so don't be surprised one bit if you see that. Sometimes you'll even see some weird things too, where Oriannas will put 3 points in W, then they'll end up maxing their Q later on, so it'll take them a little bit longer to really ramp up with their basic, but nevertheless, we'll have to see exactly how both of these mid laners are really able to kind of control the pace of this game, because I think that's really where we're sitting on the knife's edge here. Like, that mid-jungle duo for NGE needs to be able to get some things going, needs to be able to ramp up, make some things happen, and the Sejuani equally so. Like, if you're able to get through your first clear without anything going too crazily wrong, and you're able to path towards that bot side, make sure that your Varus and your Karma do get ahead, you're in good shape. But one thing to note, Worm Jones did not go for that lethality build, has gone on hit.
Yeah. I like the on-hit more here. You're going to be dealing with the Xin Zhao and the Aatrox, who are pretty much going to be standing on top of you the whole game. There's not a lot you can do about that, but if you have on-hit items, you can try and duel them a little bit more, especially with the Karma in your back pocket. I did also want to point out, Vuso has opted for the tier first here, which is really going to make them struggle with having a lot of efficacy in the early game. They're going to be able to farm really well and be safe, but they're not going to be providing a ton of damage in the early game, and that's really something you want to provide with your Xin Zhao. I've heard from our producer that we're having some issues with actually getting through the game and making sure that we can see the whole thing, so we're going to come back here for just a second. We get a little bit more time to talk about the drafts and talk about what we've seen out of the early itemization and rune options to, like, just play with the idea of what we expect out of this game.
Yeah, 100% too, and we've talked a lot about the bot lanes here, but of course you really do have to keep an eye on NGE's top lane. Vuso, not in too much trouble, should be able to walk away, but that ward's most certainly coming down for the side of IMP, just trying to spot that Xin, and that really is what you need to do at this point. You can already see the Raptor ward being placed there for NGE down in the blue side quadrant there, and of course being able to track that jungle, very much paramount for both of these teams. If you do spot that jungle on his first clear, then more than likely, as long as his pathing is correct, he's following his script, you're going to know exactly where that jungle is for the next 5.5, 6 minutes.
Yeah, you really can get a good idea of where the enemy jungler is going to path. It allows you to play your lanes either a lot safer or a lot more aggressive, depending on the positioning. As speaking of aggressiveness, Tangy is going to miss that Mantra Q, so a lot of early game damage lost there. But in a lane like this, I don't think you're feeling too bad, especially since you're not going for the lethality build. You're playing much more of a scaling game. I think you're fine to just sort of take punishment early, and yeah, the Lulu Sivir is going to scale as well, but Varus is a kind of understated monster scaling champion.
100% it is. Now, the one unfortunate thing when you do miss your Mantra Q like that, you're going to lose a lot of pressure in lane in terms of trades, but more importantly, you're actually going to lose the push here. So now that Sivir, that Lulu have that push, it makes their lane a lot easier for them. As you can see, Cuddlebun moving in, getting some good trades with that level 2 advantage.
Grasp Rock for Koros. Yeah, Grasp Rock for Koros is going to get something back. I didn't even notice that it's actually Grasp on Cuddlebun here on that Aatrox. So not the Conquer that you usually see, or even the Comet sometimes that you'll see in range matchups, opting for a much more health-heavy build, even with the Biscuits in inventory, just trying to match the early game sustain of Cho'Gath, because it doesn't get talked about very much, but Cho'Gath can just heal through lanes. He just doesn't have to care.
100%, yeah. The amount of sustain that Cho'Gath has in lane, even a little bit outside of lane too, is actually quite deceptive here. As you can see, Worm Jones moving up for a little bit of a trade here.
Ooh, nice little cute early Q proc to get away from that spell shield, so Paxax doesn't get any extra health back from that. And so far, the lanes have been poking at each other, being aggressive, but nobody's really opted for anything. But now with Prophet finishing up that first path, I expect that we will see Xin Zhao hit a lane somewhere. It's just a matter of, is the counter there? Are they ready for it? What are they going to do about it?
Well, that's it. At this point right now, you can see that the push has actually gone in the favor of IMP, so fortunate for them, they are able to get this push going here. Of course, now the Scuttle Crab is going to be the next contention, whether that or you look for some sort of a lane gank, that's entirely possible, but you can see the pings already coming down on this grab, and you know most certainly that IMP is going to want to contest this. That's a good ward in that tri-bush too, being able to spot that Xin. They know exactly where Prophet started, so of course you're going to be pathing down towards that bot side itself, and you can see just the 3 members hovering here. Prophet wisely so, just choosing to take that reset, play for that Scuttle Crab up top side, and then start the second rotation to clears.
Yeah, this is all good stuff so far. I don't think we've seen anything that's been egregiously bad or any sort of big misplays. This is just good, consistent early game, both jungle pathing and laning from both of these teams. No big mistakes, no summoners blown, no real egregious mispositionings. Zuba's even going to try and move up towards this topside crab since they know that Prophet hit the recall. Look to contest it, and it might even be, it doesn't matter as much nowadays, but the double crab still, you know, for the mentality of your jungler, losing both those crabs early does not feel good.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we do just elect to try to take those double
crab. Oh, not the crab. Yeah, Koros actually in a bit of trouble here, but Zuba's in the area, so I think actually Prophet might be the one who's starting to get stunned up, flashes back into the brush. Who can follow up? Koros wants to flash from the auto the grass proc. First blood for the Cho'Gath, and now Cuddlebun potentially the one in trouble with Mlack up on the way as well. They're gifting the Orianna over a kill. It's a huge win for Imp on the top side.
It's such a good read too. I was gonna mention that too before we see another trade in the spot side here first.
Yeah, heal burn from Paxax, but Worm Jones also needs to be a little bit careful. Heal burn from Tangy to make sure that the Varus is not in too much trouble. You can see the mana in advantage of the IMP bottom lane, but health bars, Paxax and Band Director actually staying fairly healthy.
Yeah, Zoob's able to get the double crab off that. Does not get that reset initially there, so of course you see with this next back he's able to get the boots and the giant spell, but he had mid priority there. He's able to rotate up and actually play for that 2v2, and when you have that double melee, you're able to stack that passive that much quicker, and of course it's really strong skirmishing power that Sejuani brings to the table, and before you know it, they're able to net up a double Scuttle Crab, 2 kills in that top side off that mid prow from Mlack, and overall, that's a fantastic start. Really good sequence there from IMP, as you just see once again now Zoob just starting to swing back towards that bot side. That's a good reset timer too from their bot lane, which means that they're going to be really strong by the time that Sejuani gets down there. So this actually sets them up for a really good dragon now too.
Yeah, level 6 is nearly on the way. MLAC almost have it. You see Cuttlebun takes it there as well. Vuso also hitting level 6. So some big spikes coming up soon. It is going to be a few of the NGE members getting it first, but the IMP members will not be far behind, which means that they're going to have access to Shockwave. Zoob is not far away from level 6. I think the Krug camp is going to get it for them. It'll be close. I'm not 100% sure on the XP numbers on that, but it's close. And if Sejuani does have level 6, Paxax, you better have that cleanse and that spell shield timing ready to go.
100% right now, and it feels a little bit bad for Prophet here. Of course, you're going to get that level 5 as you just hit it right now with taking that Gromp, but yeah, you're absolutely down on that experience right now. So Zoob's done a really good job being able to punish that, just based off the mid power that he had previous there from MLAC being able to get that advantage, and Vuso could not really roam at all there, just completely no real window to move, and ever since then, you can kind of see the seeds being planted, and this is exactly what we're seeing now, just continuous advantage in the jungle, which is something we actually expected from the Xin. Here we go. Ooh.
Yeah, Flash instantly used by Vuso. I think that's the proper call there. Just make sure that you're not going to get tagged by that. But I wanted to call out for Vuso. They opted to start with the Tear of the Goddess in inventory. They had that extra bit of mana in their pocket, but they're still running out of mana in lane. They're still ceding control to this Orianna, which we really didn't expect to happen. We expected this early game to be very much Xin Zhao and Taliyah piloted, but it's been the Sejuani almost entirely in control of the pace of this early game.
Yeah, the tier just takes some time to stack up before you really get the advantage of that mana, and of course without those raw stats it makes it that much harder, and Doran's Ring itself does have some mana regen built in, of course, too, so it does give you some more windows there, but yeah, I'm a little surprised to see that tier. I'm glad you pointed that out. And here we go, a little bit of a skirmish once again.
Yeah, Prophet did get whimsy there, but they just wanted the ward. Zoob is going to opt to look for a recall here. The dragon is still up, though, so they potentially could turn around for it. It looks like Prophet actually is the one kind of worried about going towards this, so instead is just going to move back towards the jungle. But all the camps are up on the top side, and if you go to farm those, you're going to lose this dragon.
That's right. You see Prophet a little bit of stutter stepping around that dragon, but now has elected to start it. But you can see Zoob took that reset. He's now coming back on a map.
Oh, level 6 is Worm Jones in trouble. It's a nice knock up. The barrier's there for Worm Jones. They've got the shielding from Karma, but they are just going to fall. Tangy's forced to flash away. And that's the power of the Lulu level 6. Tangy now walking up into the brush without vision is just going to get picked up. Vuso with one more big rock. It's going to be the Feat of Warfare going over to NeoGen, and it's going to net them the dragon as well.
That's exactly what NGE needed. You can see Prophet not having that level 6 still at this point right now. So Paxax and the Band Director able to make that move right there. They're able to net up that double kill too, burn both flashes. Not both, excuse me, just Tangy's flash in the one process, but more than equalizing the kill count at this point right now. And Zoob's still around. Of course, he was spotted on that ward, so I think wisely so he's just choosing to move away here. She's sitting in that brush. Does have the ultimate up in about 5 to 10 seconds, but arguably, you probably could just be starting that that top side neutral right now and actually playing for that. But of course, you can see the resets right now coming in from the side of NGE. They do have the window to actually move and contest this now. MLAC taking some damage.
Yeah. Taking a bit from that seismic shove there from Vuso. I think Zoob was just waiting to see potentially if Prophet wanted to look for any sort of a mid gank, or even if the Band Director wanted to try and get a roam up. But with the priority that they have in the top lane from Chorus really just having a lot of control up here in the top side, it means that they are going to be moving over towards these Void Grubs. They should be able to net all 3 of them. They don't have the Feast from Koros, but I don't think they're going to need it to secure these ones this time around.
No, and the cross map will come through. Even though it's a little delayed from IMP, they're more than happy to be able to net up those Void Grubs for themselves. And of course, at this point right now, the game really should start to kind of fall back towards more of that like lull state. That's where you can look to play for some plates, really focus on the CS, get your advantage, and then before you know it, the next dragon will be up in about 4 minutes, and that's probably more than likely where we're going to see the next fight here, Brady.
Yeah, should be. I would hope to see an advantage state for NGE just because they finally wrested control of the game back for themselves and now have the ability to start playing around these strong points for their champions. You see Taliyah almost has the first item completed, 2 stacks on the Darksteel as well. Paxax almost has that, not Navori, the Yuntal completed for themselves. And it's just going to be a matter of can they get to these item spikes before the members of IMP can.
Zoob with some cheeky pad, they got behind Vuso.
Yeah, Fuso, without the flash this time around, it's just going to be given over to MLAC. Nice little pathing on the gank there. Gets around every single ward, I think. I don't think Vuso had a chance of getting away from that one.
No, No, there's no way with that flash being burned early. Nice little backstep there from Koros, avoiding that secondary knockup and able to farm up. And that's kind of what we're talking about too. You see that sustain really kicking in for Koros there on that Cho'Gath, and pretty safe and sound in that top lane, just continuing to scale. Both of those top laners really are, but at this point right now, yeah, it really is just clear your waves as fast as you possibly can. Continue to get the priority and garner as much CS advantages as you possibly can. And something to take note of too in this bot side here for IMP, the lane that we really were hoping to see start to take hold. You can see a little bit of a CS discrepancy already beginning. Now mind you, you have a few minions to be able to farm up here, but nevertheless, Paxax and the band director have done such a fantastic job off the Sivir and Lulu, continuing to be able to ramp up and not get put behind at all. Really looking fantastic given the current situation, and crucially too, a little cheeky lane gank here, potentially set up for profit.
Yeah, I don't think the members of IMP know about this. The On the Hunt is burned, and there's that wild growth as well. Tanky is the target. They know the Karma does not have flash. Has that Mantra W1, though, so it gets quite a big heal. Can they finish her off? No, they can't. Tank is going to be able to walk away. Wormjones has the autos down, but now with that Crescent Guard, they're not able to finish her. Profit flashes forward, the wind becomes lightning, but is not in range of Tangy. Vuso on the hunt, really wants to finish off this Karma, but Wormjones is actually going to be the one in trouble. Sidesteps the Seismic Shove, gets away from the bouncing Boomerang as well. Vuso now the one in trouble. Big ultimate doesn't get interrupted. Vuso gets to walk away. Emlac is going to help Wormjones clear out this wave, but somehow, some way, everybody in the bottom lane lives.
The shockwave was available, but Emlac chose not to use it, and maybe that's the right call, maybe it's not, but Vuso definitely seemed like he was on an island, absolutely stranded there. Potentially a big kill, and being able to pick that up could have been really nice, but at the end of the day, with everything that just happened, not a single member goes down.
I'm not sure how Vuso didn't get interrupted on the ultimate. It looks like they were just continuously taking damage and hit after hit, and I thought the Talia wall would shove you off, but there must have been a window where they just didn't get hit, so they were able to ride it out.
So they actually changed that. I don't know when, but they changed it now, so you actually have to get CC'd off the Talia ult.
Oh, you do? Yes.
Before damage used to actually interrupt, but now it does not. It has to be CC and hard CC at that too, so... Nope, the shockwave not burn. I wonder if Emlac actually wondered the same thing once again.
Oh, Vuso gets
cheeky.
away from the gets away from that glacial person with the flash. Profit in the area, so I don't think IMP is going to continue to try and press any sort of an advantage here. But you're happy to just continue to get that cooldown out of the Talia.
Repeat gank after repeat after repeat, and Vuso definitely feeling the pressure of Zoob, and Zoob's done a really good job too, constantly ganking from all these unexpected, frankly weird angles too, coming from your own Raptor pit, not usually something you expect to see, and I think wisely so, and maybe arguably impressively so. Vuso just happens to dodge that with yet again another good flash there, so the Talia absorbing a lot of pressure, being able to buy as much time as you can, but that CS lead's really starting to accrue for this Orianna here, and at this point right now we talked about level 9, level 10, that's really where this Orianna's going to start to take a foothold in this lane, and it's most certainly there, and when you have a 30 CS lead, it's even better for you. Koros thought was in trouble, guess not.
Yeah, that Sundered Sky proc does quite a bit of damage to this Cho'Gath, but does have the Heartsteel completed, so should be feeling fairly okay with the state of the lane. I need to talk about it. Vuso opted for the Sarah's first item, and this is a particular pet peeve of mine, because until this item is stacked, it does not give you any value. You can sit on that 400 gold tier. It's now stacked at 14 minutes into the game, but it's allowed Emlac with that Hex Tech companion to just continuously have a lead in this lane where they really should not have had one. With that, IMP is going to claim this dragon. On the hunt burned, but NGE is just not in range for any sort of engage, so everyone will walk away. And I think part of this is on the fact that Vuso just has had no control of this mid lane for the entirety of this game. It has been Emlac's lane, which at Champ Select, we were saying, hey, Talia Xin we've seen this combo before. We know how strong it can be. But if your Talia is not building to do that early game work, the Xin Zhao can't do everything. He can do a lot, but not everything.
That's right, Cuddlebond coming.
And Lack, a nice flash, sidesteps away from that Seismic Shove, gets away from the Q2 from Cuddlebond as well, so earns the flash but does survive, and Vuso finally getting some help of his own to try and get this lane back to neutral.
You're 100% right when you say that, though. The itemization is a huge factor in this mid matchup, and this is the one matchup for NGE that we really wanted to see take off, because you get that Talia ahead, you start clearing those waves before you know it, you're roaming, you're making the impact yourself, but when Emlac is punishing you as much as what he is, that's where things become really tricky for you. So IMP's done a fantastic job in that regard here. As you can see, the lane swap starting to come through now that Orianna's heading down towards that bot side. Both of these side lane turrets for opposite teams are quite chunked at this point right now, so netting that first brick would be pretty nice too, but both of these teams really are posturing around this next neutral and this top side.
Yeah, everybody wants to have that Rift Herald. Zoob is going to spot out the fact that this is warded. Prophet, Cuddlebone, and Van Director are all up here, so this is a somewhat risky start for Zoob. Although, because of the control ward, they actually don't have vision of it, and Prophet is going to hop the wall. I think this Rift Herald is just going to go down for Zoob. Never mind me, then. This one's free.
Yeah, there's just no contest coming through there at all, and maybe a bit of it has to do with the lane assignments as well. MLAC with the TP available does have that option to be able to actually get to that fight if things do break out. Ideally, you don't burn it because that means you're more than likely giving up your turret, but the lane assignments very well could have very much made the difference there for IMP. And you can see right now, little cheeky movement here from Band Director, getting some really deep wards there in IMP's jungle. See Band Director just sitting on this Lulu. MLAC does cancel the reset here, so I don't think the dive can come through, but good pressure on this turret can definitely happen. Maybe.
They might try for it. MLAC has the good wave clear. The boomerang comes through. MLAC's going to eat about half their health. Paxax with a nice spell shield on the shockwave and the polymorph. But MLAC is so tanky. The heal will keep Paxax alive. Van Director will stay alive as well. Nice bit of turret juggling and a great dive from the NGE bottom lane.
Yeah, I don't think you and I definitely did not think that would work out, but that spell shield actually blocked that shockwave, and as soon as that happened, MLAC did a good job. We'll talk later.
Worm Jones has to rid of flash as Prophet flashes for that win becomes lightning.
And
we'll manage to walk away.
Trade. Yeah, flash on the jungle for a flash on the ADC. You're more than happy to take that trade. The cross map overall, at the end of the day, you do get the first turret going for the side of IMP in that top side with the Rift Herald crash, but you do also get the dive and the turret down on that bot side. I think Paxax, he ended up getting that secondary kill here too. So that Sivir's just ramping up that.
Ooh, Vuso.
I guess you just.
Yeah, we'll jump back a couple of seconds to see what exactly happened. And I think it's just being here with the flash ulti. Oh, that stun just barely connecting, and yeah, that means the Seraph Shield will protect you for a little bit, but when you're just CC'd and you have a Varus free hitting you, you kind of just die. That's kind of how the game works.
Yeah, it's kind of been the story there for Fuso, hasn't it? Just probably 4 or 5 ganks in total at this point right now, sitting at that 17-minute mark, and that's pretty frustrating if you are that Talia. So you can dodge a lot. You've dodged a few. What are they? Glacial Fissures? Is that what the alt's called? I'm not very good with
Glacial Prison.
Names. Glacial Prison. That's it. Thank you. You've dodged a few though.
Fissures.
So kudos
Fissures
to you.
Brom.
Is that? Oh, I'm so bad.
Yeah, you were close.
I got the glacial part right. 50% there. Good enough.
Yeah. 50% there. You had the right region. You had the right kind of champion. We'll give you partial credit for it at the very least.
Freljord somewhere somehow. We do see this contest now beginning here at this point right now. Just really one dragon apiece, so no real dragon stacking coming in here for either team, but you do see Prophet here.
Prophet. That Heartsteel proc does quite a bit of damage. Koros wants to continue the fight, but with Band Director and Paxax in the area, yeah, you gotta respect the Shogat damage. Only 100 stacks on that Heartsteel, but that guy hurts. He will auto you down.
Yeah, and you almost wonder if that actually ends up netting you the dragon there too. I mean, with Prophet having to take that reset, wonder if that Zen does now choose to path down towards that bot side. Of course, those top side camps are up, so that'll put him behind that much more at this point right now, but he is moving back down towards that bot side. Sivir and the Lulu are doing a really good job here. Paxax and Band Director being able to get these waves pushed in. Oh, just a little stare down.
I do also want to call out the fact that Band Director has opted for the Mikhail's first, which I think, even though your AD carry both has the cleanse and the spell shield, is really smart in a matchup like this. Because if either Vuso or Cuddlebun or even Prophet gets hit by one of these first stun targets, either that Varus ulti or the Shockwave or the Glacial Prison, if one of those bits of CC lands, somebody is going to die, and you need to be able to cleanse them out of that. As Wild Growth, nice interrupt on the charge in from Zoob. Paxax burns that on the hunt. TP in from Cuddlebun as well. Vuso pops the wall. They're looking for some sort of a commit. They're going to shove back Zoob, but he's very tanky. Worm Jones is the target. They're trying to get on top of him. Zoob is going to miss that Glacial Prison wide, and Cuddlebun in the back line, healing up with the Sundered Sky, but no one's dying. Zoob and Worm Jones are going to walk away. The Shockwave finds too, and Cuddlebun is the first to go down. Paxax will flash forward and finally pick up Worm Jones, but now is rooted on top of the front line. Can Koros get anything done? The Heartsteel proc does damage, but it's just not enough. Koros was now forced to walk away. Paxax managing to stay alive as well. It ends up just being a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but NGE with control of the Dragon Pit.
Bloodbath happens here. You can see Zoob still sitting around. It looks like he's going to want to try to contest for this dragon. The ward coming down.
Smite. He's got vision. MLAC, though, walking on top of that control ward, has the shielding and the healing from Tangy, though, so we'll manage to stay alive. Koros is TPing in, and I thought it was NGE's dragon to take, but they peeled off too soon. And the IMP, and now we'll get the dragon in their own control. That's just a game of League of Legends right there. That's an unfortunate spot to be in for sure for NGE. It looked like they had control of the dragon, and it seemed like they almost had it for certain, but they end up just losing it at the end of the day.
That's right. And with Zoob, the HP that you are on that Sejuani, sure you're low, but if you have that option for Chorus to be able to teleport with that Cho'Gath, create that space for you, then yeah, you can get back in there. You can contest that, and sure enough, at the end of the day, even though the initial fight goes to the way of NGE, the objective goes to IMP, and that's a good response from both teams, really. You could see how much emphasis they're putting on these neutral objectives, and that fight really broke out around that choke point. And I thought at one point for sure IMP was going to get wiped almost immediately, but the fact that they were able to somehow bounce back, and I think it really was off the back of MLAC being able to land a massive shockwave, and not only that, actually flash away from the follow-up CC there. Oh, as I talk.
Koros is very tanky, has a lot of armor, but the crowd control can lock them down. But a little too tanky for this Sivir currently. Is on 2 items, though, that Infinity Edge completed. Paxax is actually massively ahead of the curve. A 2-item completion Sivir at 20 minutes is a scary, scary thing. And once that, what I assume is going to be probably a Navori comes through as a 3rd item, she's going to start eating team fights alive.
Yeah, and the wave clear here for NGE is 100% online at this point. When you have a 2-item Sivir, you just know that you're going to continue to ramp up that much more. And when you hit that 3-item spike, as you're talking about, that's where this champion really takes the game over. Koros doesn't seem to mind one bit. Whatever Vuso wants to do, that's A-okay.
We're just starting Autocon? Are we just doing this? Prophet is in the area. They're going to start to rotate down and control ward down. There's that on the hunt. They're trying to get in. Spell Shield doesn't get used there. The wall is going to force them out. Zoom now on the wrong side. Has to use that charge to get away. But the Otacon already down to 5k. Root lands, stun lands, everything onto Prophet, but has the wild growth and the flash to get out of dodge. Koros has that feast. They're just looking to get the Otacon down low enough that they can eat it. And they do. Koros manages to land it before Prophet can get the smite in. Nice little bit of communication there. But now can you get out? Can you get anybody out? Or can you just turn around and get a kill? Prophet walks too far forward without the cooldowns and just gets chomped.
Tries to salvage the play. Prophet goes down in the process, and unfortunately that's going to be an 0-2 scoreline for the Xin. Just not able to get that early game lead that we were so much hoping to see from that champion. And I think there's always these mind games that are happening there too. When I'm looking at the lane assignments topside, you saw the Orianna and you saw the Aatrox there. Cuddlebunt did not have his teleport, MLAC did, but crucially Cuddlebunt actually interrupted that teleport and then proxied the wave, which denied that Orianna from being able to get there, which meant, or would have meant, that IMP would have had the numbers advantage. So kudos to Cuddlebunt for being able to get into that spot there to begin with there, and just those little things make the biggest of differences there. And while it seemed like it could be a really good play, the flip came through with the Cho'Gath Feast. IMP's able to net up that neutral, and you and I were kind of a little maybe dumbfounded, for lack of a better word, that they started it, but they got away with it. And with the Feast, yeah, being able to secure it makes it that much easier. So kudos to IMP on that front.
Yeah, and I think this is the big deal with having the Cho'Gath on your team. You can just secure objectives. It's new, but provides a lot more utility. With that Feast coming through, it's an extra, what, 1,200, 1,300, depending on the stacks? Extra true damage that you get on top of an objective to secure it. I mean, even if your Cho'Gath doesn't end up getting the stack on it, just the fact that you can secure it that easily feels so nice for your team.
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, nowadays it's similar, but not quite. Back in the day before they ended up nerfing the rend damage on neutrals from Kalista, you just be able to like rend it like 2,500, like 3,000 damage, time it with your smite, secure it. Cho'Gath is basically the same thing. You just time right around that 2,400 mark, and then you just both hit your smite and that Cho'Gath feast at the same time, and there's just no chance for the enemy jungler to be able to take it. And in that instance, funnily enough, the Atacom was sitting around 600 HP, so maybe Prophet did have the window to get it unless he early smited, but it's always funny like that.
Hair bit of mistiming.
Yeah, it gives you so much agency to be able to start these neutrals up and then force the enemy team to make those decisions. Do we want to contest? Do we want to try to flip it? No, we probably got to go for the fight, and these are all the things that are going through your mind, and when they happen as fast as what they do, it's pretty tricky to make the right decision.
Paxax burns the spell shield early, but a sidestep! Oh, Zoom, your ankles are broken, buddy! Paxax with the hidden technique, stand still, and he dodges a skill shot.
Just press S. Just press the S key, don't move. And you know what? I fell for that many a time myself, so yeah, well done by Paxax there. Just uses the spell shield to block that knockup from the Sejuani, stand still to avoid the Glacial Prison. Yeah, the Glacial Prison doesn't have to burn the cleanse. I got it. Doesn't have to burn the cleanse in the process. And you're more than happy if your Paxax there, because you are ramping up. Looks like we are going to see that last Whisper coming in, so won't quite be the Navori third, but fourth very much on the table here. As we do see this contest now, IMP does control River.
Yeah, and it's looking like they want to set themselves to Soul Point. Now, NGE, you don't have to contest this one. You can look for some other push here. You can look for some other advantage, but they're feeling strong enough that they can try and take the fight. Paxax and Vuso trying to poke down Chorus. The Cho'Gath is tanky, but he doesn't have a Warmog, so any of this damage he takes is permanent. Cuddlebun lands the Umbral Chains, but they're not going to find much past that. Just jockeying for position here. Control Ward is going to start to get taken out. IMPU trying to regain control back. Knockup lands onto Cuddlebun, but not much else. Dragon down to 10k. Cuddlebun looking at a flank angle, pops the World Enders on top of Worm Jones. It's not the target they want, but it is the target that they're going to look for. Cuddlebun has the Wild Growth on top of them, but just gets eaten alive. Prophet is going to knock everybody back. The health bars are so low. Look at the bouncing boomerangs. Van Director and Paxax are trying to run the fight. Shut down over to the Sivir. The cleanse not coming through onto the Lulu, though, means that suddenly IMP gets to turn it back around. Prophet will make sure that this Soul Dragon does not go, the Soul Point Dragon does not go over. Russo will get Worm Jones, but IMP are happy with that fight.
Yeah, and at what cost right now? Fortunately enough, there's no real damage for IMP, so the likelihood that they go for that Baron is pretty much nil. Maybe that mid-turret could go down in the process, but NGE there, you saw the position that they had. They weren't front to backing. They weren't 5v5, and what they were actually doing is they were trying to flank on multiple fronts. They had 2 members in the river, 3 members in the jungle, trying to force their way through that choke, and once they were able to do that, they really made things connect. And honestly, I was a little surprised that that fight ended up turning out the way that it did, especially with the fact that Cuddlebun got blown up as quickly as what he did in that fight. So Sivir really ramping up. The damage that you mentioned in that team fight is 100% there. Still not on that third item either, so that Sivir is going to be a main priority target for the side of IMP, and how you deal with that with a Crucible, Cleanse, and a Spell Shield, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, once that Lord Dominic's Regard comes through, which I believe is going to be that next item for the Sivir, she's finally going to be able to start hurting the Cho'Gath, really, but you can see how much armor Koros is building. Does not feel any threat from Vuso in this game at all. Just now having that Leandry's finished up and has the Mercury Treads in inventory, it's a very low damage Talia build. You're trying to just spam out your spells, get efficacy on the stuns from your rocks, or try and just chip down the Cho'Gath as much as possible. But for Koros, the real threat is Paxax on this Sivir.
100%. Yeah, and at this point right now, as you mentioned there, the Talia, the damage really does start to kind of fall off here, and that's really does become the problem when you have big frontliners like the Cho'Gath, but when you have somebody else on your team, aka the Sivir, that gives you a lot more agency to be able to kind of take your time with your abilities. You don't just have to force Seismic Shove left, right, and center. Instead, you can look for the proper pick to be able to chain CC with something like the Xin Zhao knockup, and in a team fight like that, if Paxax is able to just continue to free hit, that's where things become really tricky for IMP. And now, of course, we do see the attention being put down, or put up, I should say, towards this top side here. No real deep vision from either team, really just some very shallow wards moving in, trying to get whatever vision control they can. That mid ward, though, is a really good ward for the side of IMP. It really allows them to spot and see where a lot of the members on the side of NGE move, and of course it sets you up for something like this too.
Soups, the target has to be band directed. You know that the Lulu has the cleanse. Doesn't burn the ulti, though, is just looking to get that on the hunt out of Paxax. Band director also holding on to both the flash and the ulti. Some nerves of steel there shown from the Lulu player, so nice little bit of work there for them, and it means that the flank angle that we thought was so nice from Zoob is not actually going to come out to very much.
No, it really did look like a good option there. Of course, Sejuani does elect to hold on to that ult. Maybe it's the right move, maybe it's not. I'm not sure if you do have the damage to be able to finish it off. Maybe best case you chunk a member, try to force the Baron, start something off like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, no flash is burned, simply just the ultimate from Sivir being used in the process there. So nothing really amounts to that just yet. Just both teams really at this point more than likely just going to take their resets, spend the gold that they're able to. You can see that Lord Dominic's being purchased and fully bought there for the side of Paxax. That 3-item spike is 100% there. Once you hit 4, I don't know anybody who's going to be able to stop that Sivir at this point at all. But
it really does have to be the Cho'Gath. Koros has to finish up that Randuin's as quickly as possible. At least I'm hoping it's a Randuin's. As much as I think Frozen Heart is good here because of what Prophet is doing, it's double Sundered Sky and it's a crit AD carry. The critical damage reduction from Randuin's is so valuable here.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. I think either or is good, but I tend to really agree with you on that. I think the Randuin's would be... I think it really is a tech at this point right now. If you're able to grab that, then yeah, it's going to be able to buy you that much more time against Paxax and that Sivir, and that's exactly what you need to be able to do. Just be able to create as much space for your team as you possibly can.
Koros Feeling a
Probably
little
we're in
confident
trouble.
walking up versus 2 here. Has Tangy and Zoob
Uh-oh.
on the way, though, so maybe a bit of a bait, but now Zoob potentially on the wrong side, wanting to continue this fight, even though the rest of the team is looking to maybe walk away. The rest of the members of MGE are just going to fall back under turret. Band Director forced to use that kills on themselves thanks to the ulti for Worm Jones. But now Worm Jones is the one in trouble. A nice spell shield from Paxax, but now you don't have the spell shield, and Koros just eats him alive! He was at 3/4 HP! Where'd he go?
That checks out. That checks out, buddy. I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
What?
Just play safe. Just play safe.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
Just stay away from the Cho'Gath.
Oh, you're in lethal range at 3/4 HP? Oh, well, should have played safer, I guess. And of course, this Baron now is being started up. No feast available, so it is going to be a flip.
Yeah, but Prophet not in the area, so the smite's just going to come through from Zoob. And IMP, now with what I would call near domination of the map at this point, if Koros can just walk up to Paxax, hey, you don't have a spell shield, lose 3/4 of your HP. Sorry, play better next time, as MLAC now potentially the one in trouble. Prophet trying to get the dash in, has that Crescent Guard as well. Isn't first to lose that flash to try and stay away. Zoob on the hunt, really wants to chase this kill down. Prophet sidesteps the arrow, but I don't think it matters at this point. Zoob now on a killing spree, thanks to that Heartsteel proc. And unfortunately, I feel in this game, the NGE mid-jungle duo just never got online, and you can look at the scoreboard and really tell that IMP, their whole top side, is just here to play the game.
Yeah, Paxax and the band director did a really good job on that bot side, getting that advantage, even getting the CS lead in a lane where you probably shouldn't be able to. Varus Karma tends to be able to really push a lot of these lanes out, but I think a lot of it really did stem from that level 1, that Mantra Q. I know it might seem like a drop in the bucket, but with the 2v2, like...
The level 1 snowballs.
Yeah, well, that's it. With the 2v2 double range matchup, it really is crucial that you're able to get that priority early on, and I think once that came through, it really kind of gave that Sivir and that Lulu time to be able to scale up, but you're right, when 100% when you say the mid-jungle duo from NGE just hasn't been able to connect really at this point, and when that is the case, then IMP has the time to be able to scale up, and now sure, the Talia, having that on your team is good, but you really don't have that much damage. An Orianna, on the other hand, absolutely you do here. Zoob, fishing for something? Maybe. Not quite, just playing for some deep vision here, getting control, swinging up towards this top side here.
Koros is just walking at the members of NGE.
No.
There goes Prophet into the maw of the Hungry Beast, as Koros is going to find another kill. Flash away from Cuddlebug to get away from the knockup, and it's just brutality. The members of IMP own the map.
Yeah, the game pretty much plays itself at this point. Once you secure that Baron, you secure the Dragon, you take your resets, you spend your gold. With that gold advantage, you set up and you start playing for all this outer gold that's still standing. The tier 2s are going down, tier 3s. Inhibitor surely will fall right after this, especially with that Redemption coming down. And you can see too, not very many times do you see a support split pushing, but Tangy is pushing in that mid lane, which means that of course you can start really pushing that secondary lane here, and that's what you want. So the one good news for NGE at this point right now, that bot wave is in no way, shape, or form close to your tier 2. That's good, so you could probably
so you won't lose 3 inhibitors.
That's right, you can stave a bit of this pressure off, but almost certainly the second inhibitor will be going down unless Paxax
the Sivir wave clear
right now. Yep. Okay.
Muso also on a potential flank angle, so IMP are just going to play respectful here. They know they have control of the game. They don't want to toss any sort of a lead over to NGE. They're going to say, hey, we got an inhibitor. We got a couple extra turrets. We're going to be happy with that Baron push for now. Baron's a couple seconds out. We're just going to leave it off and say, hey, we got our first push in. We're good. Next Baron will win us the game.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to see IMP, what they're doing with this Baron setup here too. A lot of times what you'll end up seeing is teams grouping as 4 or 5 in that mid lane, trying to pressure mid down, but it's actually much better for a team to group up in a side lane as 4 and then pressure. The main reason being is that you actually cannot get flanked. So if you can't get flanked in the side lane because it's the edge of the map, then you're going to have that much more presence and that much more pressure in that side lane. And of course with that tier 2 and that bot lane still available, the pings came down about 30 seconds prior. You can already see them moving in here. It also gives you free agency and access for this. Oh no.
Prophet's going to get stunned up, but he's on the other side of the wall, so it's actually pretty difficult for IMP to get the full engage on him. A nice knockup, but as I say that, MLAC just eats him for breakfast. Everybody on IMP is eating well today.
Yeah, that bot lane wave just isn't there right now for IMP. That's a little unfortunate. I think wisely so, Paxax just finds that one window to be able to push that mid wave in. Net the tier 1. So that's good. At least you open up a little bit more of the map. That's right. You open up a little bit more of the map for NGE. You're fairly happy with that, all things considered. You only lost 1 inhibitor in the process, so the Baron definitely successful for IMP. We'll see if they're able to crack this tier 2 now.
Redemption coming down again. It's going to be able to sustain the wave. And Koro says, yeah, support Karma really is the way to go. I keep harping on this every time I see her, but there was a period for a long time as Cuddlebun is going to get engaged on, stunned up, but has the World Ender, so I think difficult to try and find an encounter on. That's about 1,000 health that Cuddlebun healed up as Paxtax is throwing the autos out. This is the moment that NGE wants to play for. The spell shield is down though, so Koros is just going to eat him alive. Wild Growth means nothing in the face of the Maw of the Void. Koros just continues to walk forward, and double killed out for Worm Jones, and the rest of NGE are scattered. Fan Director has to flash away, and this should be it for game number 1.
Oh, IMP playing this game exceptionally well. In the early game, NGE had a couple good moments, but it really came off the back of Paxax and Band Director. That Sivir Lulu made so much happen in that early stage, but the mid jungle just weren't there. Top lane wasn't able to get ahead, really start ramping things up, and at the end of the day, if IMP is able to play that the way that they are in that game 1, then they absolutely deserve the win. So kudos to them. Really off the back of Koros, kind of somebody that I think you and I did not expect to see being the main reason why Vancouver ImPact was able to win that first game, and sure enough, they are.
I was really expecting this to be very much a, like, either the bottom lane scrap it out and maybe Worm Jones and Taggy can fight for a lead, or maybe somehow the ImPact mid lane jungle duo ends up winning a 2v2 and they can really start to push a lead. But no, Koros just says, hey, I'm playing Cho'Gath. I'm going to do the second most damage in the game as a full build tank, by the way, just behind Paxax, who for half of that game was just hitting Koros. And says, yeah, your 80 carry is all fed and all, and that's nice, but it doesn't matter if I eat him from 3/4 HP and he doesn't get to play the game.
Yeah, I bet you a quarter damage of that 33k that Koros dealt, probably true damage.
Probably true damage, and probably straight to the dome of Paxax.
100%, yeah, Paxax definitely felt the wrath of the Cho'Gath there in that game 1. And good news for them in game 2, they will not have to worry about that. How both of these teams...
at the very least.
Yeah, how both of these teams set up now for this game 2, I wonder. Of course, at this point right now, you wonder, will the side swap come in, right? Do we want to see NeoGen? Do we want to see them on blue side? Are they going to look for that priority pick, or they want to continue to be able to get those counter picks on that red side? So those are kind of the questions that I'm wondering at this point right now. But the team comp that we saw drafted from NeoGen just did not click. And honestly, not to keep harping on it, but I think it's really important because we wanted to see that mid jungle duo really take off. But when you itemize the way that you do on the Taliyah, it really nullifies a lot of the early game potential that you have. And if you get to level 9, level 10, by that point the Orianna has a 30 CS lead on you, then you're in a lot of trouble, and that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah, something has to change for NGE here, whether it's in the draft or in the execution. Something's got to come up for them. We're going to see how they change and what they're going to shift up here when we get to the other side of this break. We'll see you there.
See you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping in here for game number 2 between Vancouver ImPact and NeoGen Xenos. I'm still Brady, that's still Turk, and that was a rough game 1, I think, for NeoGen, and we really want to see something change coming in here into game number 2. And we will, because it's Fearless, but I think we were really big on the execution changing coming into this game.
Yeah, for sure. You and I were talking behind the Iron Curtain there, and it really did come down to that mid lane and that jungle duo. And unfortunately, some things will happen, like circumstances. We totally understand that. But when you draft a team comp like that, you really want to see the execution coming through from those 2 lanes. And when we were talking about it, it really did seem like the real, not even the nail in the coffin, but the lead really did end up getting accrued after that double scuttle happened there early on when Sejuani was able to take that and that double kill on that top side. If a Sejuani's level 6 while a Xin Zhao's level 4, then you're in a lot of trouble. And
Something's gone wrong.
Yeah, exactly, right? IMP's really been able to take full advantage of that, and kudos to them. They played an excellent game, and really off the back of the Cho'Gath, something that you and I did not expect. So kudos to Koros for that, as we do see these bans coming through. Look like they are going to stay the same, and if I'm not mistaken, the sides are also going to stay the same. So,
the sides are the same, but I think that Lucian ban was something else in game number 1. I'd have to double check the draft. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know the Lucian was a different ban. So with no Varus, no Lucian, no Sivir, the Caitlyn is going to be the opt-in here for IMP. It was Lee Sin in game number 1. Thank you to Siobhan, our producer, for getting that information for us. It's going to be the Caitlyn for Worm Jones, and given how rough the early game was in game number 1 for the bottom lane, I'm not shocked to see them grab something that's a little bit more priority focused for game 2.
Yeah, for sure. Here, we're going to see that Caitlyn coming through. So usually when you get that Caitlyn, you're going to want to see some sort of priority support to be able to kind of garner that push. Of course, the Karma is now going to be off the table. So we'll see what the answer is going to be from NGE and that bot side. You see that Pantheon being picked. Pantheon's a flex. Yeah, maybe. Like, normally what I would expect to see with like a Caitlyn would be... God, I swear to God I was going to say... I swear to God I was going to say Lux. I swear. But of course,
I mean, yeah, Caitlyn Lux is the combo.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the old school, and even before then, the old school was like the Caitlyn Morgana. So
Caitlyn Morgana,
Caitlyn
yeah,
Lux,
oh, good times.
Yeah, wasn't it though? Right? A younger me, a better me. That was like 8 years ago, though, I swear. So Caitlyn Lux is gonna come through. That's a feast or famine lane, though. So there's a couple issues with that lane. First and foremost, if you fall behind, you're doomed. It's over. You die into that lane. More than likely that lane is over, and if that lane is over, the mid game on Caitlyn pretty much is atrocious. There are a couple saviors, one being the collector build where you can kind of mitigate some of that mid game, but really Caitlyn just struggles completely until you have those 3 items. And early game in that lane is where you need to shine. So with that Lux being locked in, it really is heavy focus IMP for that bot side. Once again, of course, we are going to see the Poppy being picked. Poppy does really well into
I love this Poppy.
Me too. I think Poppy's great, and even LCK and LPL, they're blind picking Poppy. They don't care one bit, so it makes a lot of sense to me. Pick it up. It's good into the 2 champions that have been drafted already here, so we'll see what NGE locks in here for their phase 2. Yeah, I almost wonder if they're going to save... No, they're not going to save the counter pick for support. They don't need to. They could just pick their support right here. It's probably going to be an Nautilus.
I mean, they could. They have the Pantheon who can also move towards support, so they're gonna save that flexibility and say, hey, we could pick a jungler here, we could pick support. You don't know what's going on. I almost want to see that NGE thinks that this Lux might go mid lane. It might go into Amlax's hands because they banned away that Braum, which is almost like I say almost always is always a support. But Lux, I guess, has that little bit of flexibility. So I guess if IMP was trying to flex the Lux and trying to hide it, NGE did spot it out, but. They actually, they did. It's going to be the Caitlyn Bard in the bottom lane, which I think is a little bit safer, but it also means that you got a Lux in the mid lane, and she is a very one-dimensional champion. You've got your combo, and that's all you do. The jungle support here is still flexible, by the way. We don't know if it's Maokai or Pantheon until that gets locked in.
That's right. Yeah, we have no clue really until that game's going to start. When these players actually swap to the champions that they're playing, we'll have no clue. So in the meantime, we can only guess. That's a good call, though. I totally bought hook, line, and sinker that it was Caitlyn Lux. Completely bought it. And NG, unfortunately for them, they didn't. They ended up banning the Braum, and you know what? More than likely, I bet you that Braum pick would have ended up coming through for IMP in that second phase. So
yeah, with the misfortune in the Pantheon, almost assuredly.
Yeah, it makes total sense, 100%. So the Bard pick coming through now. So Bard, that one is... I don't mind the Caitlyn Bard because you actually have quite a bit of synergy, right? You land that Bard stun, then of course you have that guaranteed easy trap. You also have the Bard ult too. You land the Bard ult, then of course you have the trap to be able to follow up. But you have a lot of CC, you have a lot of windows. The one thing that I always kind of like worrisome or like wary about when you draft something with like a Bard with a really heavy lane priority carry like a Caitlyn is that the Bard likes to roam. So when Bard likes to roam, that means that more than likely you're roaming away from your Caitlyn. So if you're roaming away from your Caitlyn, then you're not playing to your strong side. So we'll see how IMP plays around that. And NGE, I think they've drafted themselves a much easier to execute team comp this time around, Brady.
Yeah, I do agree with the Bard roaming. I think Tangy is going to have to play pretty hard towards the actual laning phase here and not really play that roaming style on the Bard, because whether it was Maokai or Pantheon, you have Misfortune, Maokai, Pantheon as that 3 team that is going to come through on the bottom lane, let alone an Aurora that can roam through. And if you leave a Caitlyn alone with those 3 or 4, you're not getting a call back. Don't even send out the Amber Alert. She's gone.
Yeah, 100%. It looks like what now we do actually see the picks and where they're going to be going. It is going to be that Maokai support, so we'll see how well band director is able to pilot that. The NGE really, like the NGE bot lane, excuse me, really was like the highlight, like the little bit of like light in the dim tunnel. So game 1, they did excellent. They did a fantastic job on that server that they lose. So hopefully we can see the same thing coming through for them with this MF and this Maokai, but the dynamics of this lane are going to change a lot now. So in game 1, we saw double range matchups. With double range matchups, it's all about getting that push early. When you have a melee support into a range support like that Bard, now all of a sudden you really aren't playing for that priority unless IMP egregiously ints it, something like that. But more than likely, you're waiting to that level 3 mark. When you have those basic abilities, that gives you those windows to be able to find those fights, and it entirely depends about whether or not you can actually force those all in. So if NGE's bot lane is able to hold off to that level 3 mark, kind of ramp things up, let the game play itself for the first little bit, then I think they're gonna have a lot of windows. They also have that Pantheon now too, so it's pretty easy to force fights when you have point and click stun on Pantheon and point and click root on a Maokai.
Now, Turk, I am a little worried because I see these mid-jungle matchups and they're not the same, obviously, as the champions are different, but the identities feel very similar from game number 1. Poppy is that utility tank jungler that you can have in the early game, and she does fine enough, but in the mid and late game, you become an unstoppable tank that just provides a ton of utility. And you have Pantheon, who is very much feast or famine early game jungler, someone who, if they get kills, if they can start farming and get ahead, they can really cause a problem. But if they fall behind, they don't really do a lot, and that feels very similar to the Sejuani Xin Zhao matchup we had previous. Even the mid laners, I think, are very similar. Lux is a very one-dimensional champion. Orianna, not exactly one-dimensional, but you know what she's going to do. She's very telegraphed, whereas Aurora has a little bit more early game priority. She can get shoved. She can roam. She can play the map a lot. She can play the 2v2 with her jungler a lot. And we didn't see NGE execute on it very well in game number 1, so we really need to see them lock down this mid-jungle 2v2 coming into this game, or I'd be very worried about them going throughout the rest of their season, these last 2 weeks that they have to play.
Yeah, the playstyles for both of these teams, while it's a different game, we're moving to game 2 with different champions, they are very similar. Once again, IMP's playing very much through that bot lane, trying to get as many advantages as they can. And yeah, NGE, we really need to see that mid and that jungle duo facilitate things, get things rolling. And I mean, again, we'll harp on it one more time and then we'll leave it be. We'll put it to rest, but I really do think it was the itemization in that game 1. I really think that was the biggest discrepancy that we saw from Fuso. So in this game 2, we know that he's a good player. We know that he can absolutely pop off on this champion. So we have absolute faith. We just need to see it. We just need the execution to come through. And if you're able to really get those leads, you can start to roam and make some impacts. We saw it a little bit in game 1. Right? We saw the Talia roaming down, trying to make some plays. Things worked out a couple times where you got the 1 kill on that Karma without the flash at the tri-bush. Like, things worked out pretty well for you. But in this game 2, 100%, there's no doubt in our minds with a champion like Pantheon, you need to get the ball rolling. You need to get the game accelerated. And the good news for NGE is that this time around, their team comp is quite easy to execute. They just pull trigger with Maokai. That's their primary engage. Everybody else is secondary.
They press R.
Literally, secondary, follow up. Very simple, very easy to execute. It's just whether or not IMP can weather the storm. Absorb that. You also have the Tempered Fate. That's the ultimate for Bard, right? Is that what it is?
Yep. Tempered Fate, good call.
Nice, got that one. Okay. So you have the Bard ult to be able to play, and kind of you have some wiggle room with it too. Sets up for some turret dives. Bard really is what you make of it. You can be a Picasso or you can be a me. So you get to pick and choose what you want. You get to pick and choose what you want to be, but you can absolutely be an artist with this champion. So we'll see how well Tangy can pilot this too as we do move into game number 2, Brady.
Yeah, I think another big thing that we're going to have to keep our eye on is Cuddlebun on this Mordekaiser. I think Mordekaiser ultimate is very similar to Bard ulti in the way that if you hit R on the right target at the right time, your team will just win the fight. But if you hit the wrong target, if you get that timing just wrong, you can end up 1v5 versus the entirety of the opposing team. As Worm Jones is going to watch this tribe rush, but does need to be careful of a potential early game invade.
Yeah, that
They're going
vision
to sniff
toggle
out the
has been,
potential of it.
yeah, that vision toggle
I
has been
like.
scoped out.
I think this is really smart from Worm Jones. You just use the early ward. You say, hey, I'm not going to be able to put that on red buff or Raptors or even the enemy blue buff, but I don't need to put my body in danger and give up first blood when my team is nowhere near me.
You and I both know that is the exact spot that you die in like 50% of
Every
your solo
time.
queue games. Yeah, pretty much.
Every time.
Yeah. So yeah, smart. Very much a good call there from Worm Jones. Vuso though. Uh-oh.
Yeah, has to lose that flash early. A nice little rotate from the IMP
Oh
members.
no.
And the Aurora losing that flash early,
MLAC,
that is
don't
a
do it.
big deal. MLAC just going to force Vuso off a little bit further. Prophet also starting on a ward here. And this early game is feeling very similar to the IMP early game from game number 1. They've got priority, they've got pressure, but I think it's even better, arguably, because now Vuso doesn't have flash or that teleport.
Yeah, so Fuso's now going to have to teleport to this lane. Arguably, he's going to miss a couple CS here right out of the gate. We'll have to see. Yeah, so he missed one for sure. So missing one, especially in the solo lane, is going to slow down that level 2 for you. So you're not going to have that priority as much early. But more importantly now, we'll take a look at Zoob. Zoob is already in the enemy jungle, and NGE has no clue right now where this Poppy is right now. So this could spell certain doom here for Prophet if you don't sniff this out quickly. Prophet on this Pantheon needs to be able to move into the enemy quadrant in that top side right now. He needs to be playing for that blue buff. Otherwise, he's probably going to get 3 quadrants. And when that happens, it's so tricky for you, especially as a Pantheon, to be able to deal with this. So we'll really pay attention to Prophet here. If he moves down towards his bot side, he's almost in certain trouble right out of the gate, and that's a really good heads-up call from IMP getting that advantage. You can already see the push coming in through here too. And one more thing I want to note, I know I'm talking a lot, Brady, here, but when you do something like this and you invade the enemy quadrant, on the side that you choose to invade, that is now your strong side, which means that this Caitlyn and this Bard are now controlling this entire bot side. They have full agency to do whatever they want. That ward is extremely smart from Cuddlebun, and that tells exactly what's going on here. Prophet looking for something. Does not.
Yeah, nice little root from MLEC means that they are going to be able to get away safe. And Prophet should now be fully aware that their bottom side camps are just gone. They are still going to move over towards the Wolf camp, though, so they're going to end up taking that, which means that Zoob actually is just going to get away with murder here. And putting the Pantheon behind, not only that, but also vertical jungling towards this Caitlyn Bard, this lane that does need to be strong in the early game, I think is such excellent pathing and such smart play from Zoob that for Prophet now is just going to move over towards those camps, see that they're not there, and is just going to start to feel really sad.
Whoa. Looks like we get a
first blood on the bottom side. Tangy with the Flash Ignite. We're going to see exactly how that happened here. As, yeah, I think Bard just burns Flash Ignite and Band Director gets stunned.
Oh, that's a beautiful stun. So cheeky, too.
Gorgeous stuff.
You always think you're fine. You always think you're fine. But the Bard stun is just such a big hitbox, almost like a Nautilus hook. And kudos to Tangy there, finding that angle to pull that off. And yeah, now Prophet's in a lot of trouble here. It really is feast or famine. You need to try to be able to force something, find some way to get back into this early game here, because it becomes very tricky for you now, especially with that topside quadrant of blue still available. You can see Zoob moving in here too. It's just a phenomenal early game here from IMP.
Zoob is on vision though, so has to be a bit careful. Vuso's just going to start throwing the autos down. Vuso in a bit of trouble. I think if Zoob had that steadfast presence, that might have just been a dead Aurora, but Prophet is going to move towards this topside Scuttle Crab. They'll be able to knock that one down. At the very least, get something out of being here on the top side, but I think is actually going to be forced to lose the Flash here. Yeah, they're just going to have to burn it because Chorus had that priority on the top side.
IMP, a well-oiled machine at this point right now. Everything that they've done, as soon as I say that.
This is exactly what we were talking about in the pick and ban. Yep. Tangy roams up to top lane to make sure that Zoob can get towards those topside camps and be safe, but you've left your AD carry alone, and now Worm Jones has no flash, no barrier, and dies anyway.
Yes, and this becomes very tricky now. The first strike on that Caitlyn tells me 100% you're going to be going for that collector build. I mean, you can already see the dirt coming through in the inventory, so it's pretty much solidified at this point. But yeah, I mean, when you're roaming away from your Caitlyn, and more importantly, not even just when you're roaming away, but when you're roaming away on vision, that's a real crucial thing. NGE, if you're able to capitalize on that. Band Director did not burn his flash off of that first blood when he got killed, so if he's able to burn his, no cleanse available on Worm Jones are going to net that kill, and that's a big kill for them to get. 2 flashes, trading for the kill on the Caitlyn is 110% worth it, and Koros taking the brunt of a good trade from Cuddlebun.
Yeah, I think it's actually even a similar matchup in the top side where you have a crowd control heavy tank that Koros is playing and is just going to try and passively stall out the laning phase, whereas Cuddlefun is on a mana-less bully champion, someone who likes to play a bit more aggressive in the early game. But this time, Koros doesn't have that mana sustain in inventory. It doesn't have that Cho'Gath passive, so you can get pushed out of the lane. Cuddlefun can out-farm and out-sustain you, but so far, Koros has been pretty okay. Only down a little bit of CES. Hasn't had to lose the flash or the teleport just yet. He's going to bring the teleport to get back to lane first, but I think he's feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. The Gragas, yeah, you're right, 100%. The Gragas sustain is a little bit there, but it has been nerfed time and time again, so not nearly as good as what it used to be. That's why you've kind of seen Gragas fall out of favor, but tends to be a really strong weak side laner in general, which is something that IMP really seems to be able to lean towards. And when you can pick champions like that can kind of self-facilitate, that's kind of the dream for IMP, that you can really focus on the spot side, especially this Caitlyn. We just hope to see them putting more pressure in the spot side. Of course, right now we see Zoob sitting in this lane, but equally so, Prophet moving just in the wing.
Yeah, Prophet is going to get spotted out, but Tangy already getting engaged on. Doesn't manage to sidestep that Comet Spear. Does have the portal out, though, so will manage to stay alive. Worm Jones and Zoob trying to continue the pressure up, but 3v2, this is not a comfortable spot to be in. Headshot lanes on the Band Director, quite a bit of damage. Mlac is here, so is Vuso, and it will just force everyone to walk away and be that little bit more passive.
And both mid laners come down just to say hi, give a little wave, and off they go. Back towards their mid lane here, respectively, and we can see Zoop here delaying a little bit of his tempo. Not much to play for. It does have the Krugs available, but his topside camps are responding. He is taking his reset now, but surprisingly, Prophet's been able to really manage this early game quite well, all things considered, right? You basically get completely...
Still hasn't gone back.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, Zoop's still sitting here.
Has the flash as well. He's going to look for a wall stun here, manages to land it, and that should just be Band Director dead. But a nice little Bramble gets through, but Tangy with the Ignite should be able to finish it off. Paxax really wants to make the kill happen. Doesn't have enough damage just yet. No mana on the Misfortune either. The health bar's also low. Tangy has the portal. Everyone's going to get out the comments. Zoom sacrifices his life to make sure that the bottom lane gets to walk away with their health bars. Maybe not just yet, though, as there's Vuso over the wall, picks up the Feat of Warfare and the double kill off the Between Worlds.
This is exactly what we were hoping and needed to see from Vuso. What the hell?
Look, Cuddlebun 100% was expecting E-Flash there, and I respect the fact that he did flash that, but now he is just going to die because Koros didn't use the flash.
There it is. That's all those mind games.
He made the right play, but Koros goofed it, so Cuddlebun just looks dumb, and that feels so bad.
Yeah, and Black overstaying here to get this mid wave pushed in. You can see the wave state's so bad for him, but unfortunately, for the Lux,
no mana Ignite burned. Vuso burned the damage items though, so might just be able to flash out of here. Maybe just saying, no, I'm dead anyway. No, wants to burn the flash now, gets the root down. Dragon is slain by Prophet, but Zuba's going to be able to pick that one up. Maybe? Prophet has that shield as well, so he's going to be able to walk away. And NGE, it's scuffled and it's messy, but they're getting a lead in the early game.
They're able to pull that off. That's a really nice roam there, too, from Band Director. Mlac, you can see he wanted to get that wave push, and as I mentioned previous there, that mid wave, just the lane state itself, not very good. You don't want to have that wave frozen, especially when you don't have that teleport. That's why Mlac chooses to overstay, and Band Director, paying attention to that wave state himself, decides just to sit in that bush, even pops a sweeper just to know, just to double check, am I on vision? The answer is no. Sits there, is very patient, and then finds that pick and makes things happen, and crucially, too, burns Mlac's flash in the process. So NGE, this early game is pretty much night and day from what we saw in game 1, and that's exactly what we were hoping to see. 2, also, we were harping on him. Vuso, very much impressive here for this game number 2. 3-0, that roam was beautiful on that bot side. That flash, being able to get that, close the gap with the ultimate, get the kills. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Worm Jones now in trouble again, as there is no Tangy here to save him. The bullet time over the top, just to make sure the Caitlyn falls. In the bottom lane, very similar to what we saw in game number 1, it's rough for Worm Jones and Tangy.
So the one thing that you can do if you are going to roam away from your Caitlyn is to actually have the Caitlyn roam with you. So if you want to play for that top side neutral, you can send both of your bot lanes towards that top side. You can have Koro head down towards the bot, and he can just start dealing with that 1v2. He's perfectly fine in that situation, has enough wave clear on the Gragas where you can manage it. But unfortunately for Worm Jones, being pathed away to by this Bard, which is something you and I were kind of concerned about in the draft, it's starting to really show face here. And this is kind of the issue that we're running into now. If you're 0-3 on the Caitlyn, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, Pretty. I don't know what you do in this
Yeah.
situation right now. Like you need to scale, you need to get items, but your mid game's gonna be terrible. So you're not gonna hit your mid game for a while. You're definitely not gonna hit your gate or your late game, excuse me, for a long time. So this Caitlyn is basically nullified and completely useless for probably the next 10 to 15 minutes, arguably.
Yeah.
And
I think it's
wait,
also a big deal that Miss Fortune is opting for this Bloodthirster first item because you can't even try to poke her out once she
yep.
gets that Bloodthirster in inventory. The most you can hope for is getting her mana out with her pressing Q and E on the wave on repeat, but Paxax has shown us that they are a smart player, so it's going to be very difficult to get that out of them.
Yeah, night and day here. Night and day for game 2 from NGE, and this is great to see. And I was really concerned off that early game there, that level 1, when we saw Zoob invading, and just no vision, no actual understanding of where that IMP jungle was from the side of NGE. But Prophet's been able to more than bounce back here. You can see he's already keeping up with that CS on Zoob, and more crucially than that, he's making a lot happen on the map here, which is exactly what NGE and their team comp needs to do. And I really like to see Band Director on a more engaged style champion. It really seems like it's night and day for them too in the spot side here, and we'll see. It looks like a fish.
Oh, speaking of engaged, flash in on Worm Jones, and yeah, that Caitlyn is just dead, and Tangy should not be much longer for this world. A really nice use of the ultimate will manage to stay alive for at least a little bit longer. I don't think Band Director and Paxax can get in range. Bullet time use is going to eat up the wave and a little bit of Tangy's health bar, but this is just bottom lane domination from Paxax and Band Director.
IMP's bot lane continues to bleed. Now is not only an 0-3 Caitlyn, is now an 0-4 Caitlyn. So Worm Jones, the 2v2, you're not going to be able to win. You try to swap your lane right now, get an advantage in a 1v2, Cuddle Bun more than likely can clear that wave. So this Caitlyn is in no man's land at this point right now, and there's just machine gun fire left, right, and center. You're ducking the whole time, banking that maybe somehow, some way, there's going to be some sort of skirmish where you can bounce back into this game, but you are in dire straits at this point right now. So IMP trying to weather the storm. The gold lead isn't too crazy, mind you. It's only 12.5 minutes, so you're about a K down. I guess that's a bit of a saving grace, but you can't contest any neutral at all, Brady. There's no way.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're gonna see this replay coming through here too. It's just so difficult for Worm. Just what do you do?
Tell me this is. Is this a replay or is no? This is just live. Worm Jones is just dead again. That's 0-5 on the Caitlyn now. Yeah, Prophet just ulted to the bottom lane and says, "Hey, you don't get to play League of Legends today.
No.
I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry at all."
I wish you were wrong, but you're right. It's 0-5.
That's rough. That's rough, buddy.
Oh, it's so hard right now. It's so hard to. I don't know. At this point, right, IMP, you're bleeding. You're bleeding in the one lane where you needed the lane to go well, and I mean, Tanky, I think you've done a good job on the bar. It's not like you haven't, but unfortunately, you're just not playing to the team's win cons. Right? You need to focus as much attention as you can on that bot side, and NGE has more than recognized that for this game number 2. They know exactly who they need to shut down, and this Caitlyn, if we were saying it, like maybe by the 15 to 20 minute mark, you're going to become a champion a little bit, kind of, sort of, but not even close. It's going to be 25 to 30 minutes now, and that's a long time for you to basically lose every neutral MLAC. Bit of trouble.
Prophet, nice little keeper, nice little tempered fate there from Tangy will keep the mid laner alive. The ultimate lands. Prophet does not get stunned there. Knocked up by the keeper's verdict though. Zoom should have the damage. The ignite taking away. Tangy will find another kill. Vuso wants to finish off Zoom, but just doesn't have the damage. Haxax is now here, and everybody has to flash away from this dangerous misfortune. Bullet time just for the sake of killing off the poor Poppy. It's a slaughterhouse here for NG in the early game.
IMP, you have good wave clear. You can weather the storm, but it is becoming increasingly difficult here. In Koros, you can see he's moving up, continuously trying to apply whatever pressure he can. He's winning out on this 1v1 in isolation. And IMP, if you didn't have that some sort of advantage in that top side, you would be screwed. This vision toggle makes me very worried and very scared for Worm Jones. I think
Worm Jones is feeling it too.
Yeah, I think wisely so. You're going to choose just to take your reset here, spend your gold. I'm not even sure how much gold you have on the Caitlyn, but now becomes a real issue, right? So you really can't contest the second dragon. You really can't contest the third dragon. Can you contest the fourth? Like,
you're gonna have to hope that you can. You have to hope that you can, because if you can't contest the fourth dragon, there's a lot of good souls out there. It could be Hex Tech, it could be Infernal, it could be Mountain, and any of these are nightmare situations as they're just going to stall out the last bit of that Lux combo. The ultimate comes through, but it's just a little bit too late. Nice bit of timing there, nice bit of communication from NGE. It is the Chemtech soul, so it's not one of the stronger ones that I had listed earlier, but it's not weak by any stretch of the imagination.
No, the heals and shields will come through. Paxax would be the one who would really get full advantage of that with that Bloodthirster build. But Tenacity too. Nice cast from Koros.
Yeah, Tangy is going to come in as well and will force the flash out of Cuddlebun. Potentially diveable, but when a Mordekaiser has ultimate, they're really just not a dive target.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of fishing here, chunking Cuddlebun a bit. Looks like they're trying to set up for it, but a little bit of indecisiveness. And as you mentioned, that ultimate makes things so hard.
Oh, they're going to disable the turret. Cuddlebun gets Koros inside the Death Realm, and the wave is going to disappear on top of the turret. Tangy hanging out thinking that there's a potential for it. They're even going to throw the Caitlyn ulti up there as well, but now with the TP in for Vuso, this shouldn't be doable, but Koros goes for it anyway, didn't see the teleport, and just gets picked off under turret. Now Worm Jones, the one in trouble, as Band Director is here, has that extra bit of movement speed, and Worm Jones is going to fall. Tangy has the portal out, maybe we'll be able to survive, but Worm Jones, the 80 carry, is the sacrificial lamb, and Tangy won't even be able to make it out as Paxax is on the rotate as well.
This is the NGE that you and I expected to see.
Absolutely.
You're vying for that first place at this point right now. You really want that seed. You're sitting at a 3-1 record, and Game 1 just was not it. Game 2, completely different story here. Pretty much every neutral is going the way of yourselves, minus those grubs. But at this point right now, with that Rift Herald, it almost certainly guarantees you that mid turret if you want to play for it. You can even hold off a little bit. I'm guessing Prophet's going to drop right now. Looks like he is, and that's going to secure that mid-tier 1, open up a lot of the map here from NGE and Vuso, you can see. Trying to fish in that bot side. Band Director around the area too here, so even MLAC on this Lux needs to be very careful.
Yeah, has the flash, but Band Director flashes in first. Nice root is going to catch 2 there. The only reason MLAC is going to survive that gank. Nice little bit of rooting there, but trading flash for flash, Band Director continues to just be happy with these exchanges.
100%. Yeah, trading flash and a support for a mid laner, especially something like a Lux where you're just completely immobile to begin with. Yeah, that's exactly the trade that you're more than happy to take. And once that Maokai ult is available, that's where things become really tricky for MLAC. And yeah, I mean, MGE, like, this team is completely
they rebounded
the pace of this game too, 110%. And this is really what you expect to see from these top tier teams too. And by no means is IMP a weak team at all, don't get me wrong, but just NGE with the record that they have, you anticipate them to put on a good show and to really be able to pull some things off. But a lot of the times good teams, especially Iron and whatnot, it's forged in fires, so it takes some time here. Game 1, not so good. Game 2 though, 110%. This is their game to lose right now. Not a huge gold lead, but every single neutral, as we've talked about time and time again, Brady, more than likely going to the side of NGE. And Koros doing his damnedest to try to get something going for the rest of his team here, but you just see with an 0-6 Caitlyn, it's so tricky at this point.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about in the draft, playing away from the Caitlyn, especially given that Zoom played for the bottom side. Zoom opted to go for us. And like, I think it's just dead here with that Between Worlds. Yeah, Electrocute, goodbye, Lux. Gets the cannon at the very least, but this is what we were talking about, playing away from your Caitlyn with the bar. We were hoping to see Tangy play more towards that bottom side, but a couple of untimely roams means the death of the Caitlyn, and when the Caitlyn starts to fall, the rest of the dominoes continue to go down as Paxax now on a rampage on this Misfortune. 7-0-1. This is how you play AD carry.
7-0 to 0-6. That is a very tricky, very difficult situation to be able to deal with here. IMP, I mean, even at this point too, you're forced to catch all of your waves low. So if you got to catch your waves low, that means you have no windows to be able to roam and try to make plays. Well, equally so, you look at NGE, see how far they're able to push up in these side lanes here. That tier 1 going down, of course, in that bot side. Even arguably in that top side right now, if Cuddlebun wants to say, you can grab that too. But these waves, NGE just controls so much of the pace of this game here. Really good timer on these resets too, with 35 seconds before this dragon. You can see the rest of the members moving to get set up, spend the gold that they have. 2 items on this 7-0 MF is nothing to scoff at here. And IMP, I just don't think you're in the position to be able to fight this. I think you need to back off.
Yeah, you gotta leave it. You can't fight this dragon. This is good enough for them that it's not Soul Dragon, so they can give it up. But the problem is Otacon is on the bottom side of your screen. He's up in 30 seconds, so if IMP does fully abandon this bottom side objective, they're giving up Otacon as well. So they're going to try and contest. Band Director now down to half, but has some of those chem plants and that Maokai passes to sustain up. All members of IMP are here. Keep your eyes on Paxax, though, on this Misfortune. That is the key piece of this NGE composition. If she wins, they win. If she goes down, there's a chance that IMP can actually take a fight win. They're going to look to try and just wrest control of the river now. NGE playing fairly passive. They're going to use the cask in onto Band Director, but now the engage comes through. Vuso with a massive Between Worlds, and Paxax got enough of that ulti off to feel comfortable looking for an engage, but now Paxax the one in trouble. Has the rain, but Worm Jones with the ace in the hole. They're going to shut down Paxax, and NGE are going to try and salvage the rest of this fight. Nice pullback from Cuddlebutt is going to find 2. Koros will be the one to die. It ends up being 2 for 1, sorry, as Zoop did survive as Prophet wants to go for more, but a nice route there. Worm Jones doesn't get over the wall with the 90 caliber net. So we'll end up being 2 for 2 at the end of the day. But if you're IMP, you'll take that all day, every day. Zoom, now you got to find a way to get out of here.
Yeah, it's dire straits when you're happy to
take
a situation like that.
He doesn't know.
Okay.
He might not be just yet. He's got to still try and find a way out of here. Emlak in the area. They might even just try and look for a dragon contest. Zoom, buddy, you got low HP. You can't be here right now. He's going to eventually fall. Vuso will pick that one up. Emlak burned the combo a little too early, so the dragon will go over. And IMP, yeah, you lost 3, but you got 1,000 gold shutdown on your Caitlyn. You'll still take that.
There are some silver scrapes to it, Freddy, for sure, but I don't know. I'm kind of looking at, like, I don't think you need to contest that. I understand why you want to. I get it. I totally do. Like, in my mind as a player, I would want to contest that dragon too, but I would look 100%. At it and say, like, you know what? Let it go. Let's play for a cross map. Like, let's go for a tier 1 top, get some sort of gold in our pocket, set up some deep vision, prep things up. Maybe we deny a couple camps in the process. Maybe we even push in and get some chunk on that mid tier 1. But if you're going to set up, you're going to try to get that fight. And fortunately for them, IMP was able to get the river control, as you mentioned there, when that fight was about to break out. Like, I almost wonder if that's a bit of a falter from NGE. There's just no way that IMP should be allowed to actually retake that river, and once they do, there's no way that they should be able to hold it, and the fight ended up going the way that it did, and IMP, yeah, at the end of the day, like, you're kind of happy with that. 2 kills for Worm Jones. It doesn't get you out of this mid-game lull by any means, but at least gets you going a little bit, right? And that's 1,000 gold shutdown, as you mentioned, too.
Yeah, 1,000 gold on your 80 carry. That really has been struggling. It means the IE gets completed, so you're at least somewhat in parity with the enemy 80 carry, and you can provide a little bit more damage in these fights and get closer to that 3rd item, especially where Caitlyn can really start to one-tap people with these headshots. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does, for sure. 2 items. You're at least ramping up now at Worm Jones. I think we're right around that 3 item spike. That's where this Caitlyn should be coming a bit more online. But even so, with that lethality style of build, that first strike, I mean, the damage is in there, and I mean, if anybody happens to watch any streamers, FSN Saber happens to come to mind, you know just how much damage that Caitlyn can do, but it's going to take some time here, so good news again for IMP. You have a lot of wave clear. You have a Lux, you have a Caitlyn. You should be able to buy a lot of time. Koros can absolutely absorb any sort of pressure in any side lane that he chooses, so you can weather this storm. You can buy time, but unfortunately for you right now, you're looking at that top left corner of your screen and you see 3 minutes before that next dragon, and crucially, that dragon is going to be that soul right now. This Atacon almost certainly going down for the side of NGE too.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that IMP is not trying to contest this Otacon. You really don't need to. Otacon, it's not the game-breaking objective it once was, as Vuso now potentially in trouble. The Hex Slash over the wall from Zoom. Vuso goes invisible, but this Aurora should just be dead. Pops the Between Worlds, gets across. Koros will get the 1,000 gold shutdown, but is going to die for it. A nice turnaround from Vuso in the 1v2.
Yeah, I mean, Vuso, sure, you give up that bounty, but going 1 for 1 in a situation like that, especially when your team is cross-mapping the way they are, you're more than happy to be able to take that. You can see Zoob sticking around a little bit longer. That Pantheon ult does come through topside. We'll have to see what's going on there, Zoob.
And Zoob says goodbye.
See you later. That's the turret and gets away. Looks like, I mean, you can see Maokai trying to wrap around.
Oh, Band Director. Oh, he's fast. Oh, he's got those symbiotic souls and the Dead Man's Plate. He's so fast. He's got the flash too. And Paxax is here as well. Zoom tried so hard to escape, and you just can't get away. Maokai's too damn quick with it.
Honestly, super, but like that kind of caught me off guard. I'll be honest. The Band Director moving as quick as what he does, especially with that flash there available, and so much gap close so quickly there. And yeah, you're gonna be able to net that tier 1 if you're the side of IMP, and probably worth it. You're gonna go 1 for 1 on that top side. You're gonna get a bit of an objective bounty trade, but NGE consistently just matching at the very least, more than likely out trading in these cross maps. And Good heads up play from them once again, and now as we do see these resets coming through, it really is all about this bot side. Now this Dragon's really the next priority here, a minute and 20 before that comes up here, and both of these teams, at this point right now, probably shouldn't have contested the third one. At this point, they have to contest this fourth now. So we'll see how well they're able to get set up. If they can get some river control, that's a good start, but unfortunately for them, Tangy is now taking a little bit of a later reset, which means that he isn't quite synced up with the rest of his team. He is Bard, so he can move a bit quicker than most supports, get back out on the map here, but NGE, you can already see them moving in, setting up some sort of deep vision in the enemy jungle here, looking for some sort of pick, and things go very, very much hard at this point right now for IMP. They're almost bad to worse if you're trying to be able to retake your own jungle.
Oh, supports spot each other. Vision is exchanged, but shockingly enough, no spells were thrown there. I thought for sure somebody was going to start lighting somebody up there, but TP in now from Koros to get towards this objective. Wants to make sure that they're here as they know they have to contest for this one. They cannot give up the Soul Dragon. Uso is going to eat a chunk of their health bar. It's not a ton, but at this point in the game, when you're playing the Caitlyn, the ace in the hole, you're not going to be chasing down kills with it. You just need to get whatever poke and whatever value you can. So they get something out of it at the very least, and actually maintain control of the Dragon Pit, but they're a little early as we see the members of NGE. They're just turning straight to the Baron. They're like, yeah, you can stop us from getting soul. That's fine, whatever. We're just going to take the Baron instead.
That's right. This is the issue that you run into if you're IMP. You're trying to force something. MLAC chunked. Almost certainly you cannot contest this Baron now. And you're going to take the trade. You're going to get the cross map, but it is not worth at all. That's going to be your first Dragon. Sure, you deny the soul in the process, but the Baron's going to go down. So NGE wisely so. And we even kind of talked about, like, the Hex Tech soul, it's nice, but you don't need it. It's not like it's going to make or break your game. Like, it's just, it is what it is. You get it, sweet. If you don't, so be it. So if you're going to net the Baron for it, get some pressure on that top side, that tier 2. Not even that. You're going to take that tier 2. 110% worth it for NGE. So in game 1, IMP's Baron, phenomenal. They did a really good job. We'll see exactly how NGE is able to set up this Baron here for this game 2, as everybody does take their resets right now, and they get ready to get back on this map.
Yeah, and I think so far, this really just has been very clean, consistent, and solid gameplay from NGE. This is, we harp on it again, but just a polar opposite of what we saw in game number 1, where they felt very disconnected, very almost solo queuey with how they were playing. Their composition was good, but they just couldn't link up ever. They never felt like they were on the same page, but they seem to have locked it in for game number 2 and have said, okay, we can't lose to these schmucks, so we gotta lock it in and we gotta find a win.
110%. There's no doubt about it all here. You can see IMP trying to contest.
Oh, Cuddlebun launches himself in with that Mega Cone. Emlac in the Death Realm, and I don't think this Lux will be long for this world. One more auto, and Cuddlebun now on a killing spree. A nice ultimate from the Bard is going to cancel out the damage for Paxax. But he's got the double up for the double kill. Paxax now just dominating this game, and NGE comfortably with the Baron, comfortably with the lead, and I feel like comfortably with game number 2 in their hands.
Yep, I think you're right, Brady. I don't know how IMP is able to bounce back from this at all, and frankly, I don't think they can. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form where they have a window to get back into this game, especially with NGE. They just put their foot on the pedal and they haven't let off the gas here once, and both of these inhibitors are going to go down. 3 members are dead. Tangy is coming up here in 3 seconds. I think this is the smartest move that NGE can make, though. At this point right now, you take your reset, you spend your gold, you're going to have a lot of it. So you're going to be able to get back on the map, and now, of course, the most obvious answer, where do you set up? It's going to be topside. So you see the rest of these members moving right now. Maybe a red buff is taken in the process to be able to give Paxax a little bit more of that sticking power. But yeah, this really does become almost an inevitable thing where IMP, if you're able to maybe kind of sort of find a death bush, that's your window to get back into this game. But time is against you now. You know, excuse me, you know inevitably these waves are going to get pushed into your base. And NGE, they're just doing such a fantastic job of setting this up here. You can see that top side wave almost certainly will be pushed here in the next little bit. And probably within the minute and a half, this inhibitor is going to be going down. And NGE just looking to cross their T's, dot their I's, and get rid of this game 2 and move on to game number 3.
Yeah, I think at this point in the game, you start discussing, like, okay, what's our draft strategy for game 3? Game 1, we didn't lock it down. We weren't ready for it. We weren't 100% there. But game 2, we're feeling a lot better. So what can we do to keep ourselves in for game number 3? How are we going to just like make sure that this ends cleanly? What can we do to make this as simple and as efficient as possible?
That's right here, and we really like to see them pushing and playing on 2 lanes. Realistically, they're actually playing on 3, especially that's a beautiful Maokai ult here too, just trying to force some members off. It looks like they're going to find it.
Nice ultimate from Tangy is gonna keep Koros and the Caitlyn alive for just a little bit longer. Mlac actually the target there, not the Caitlyn. Manages to get out, but Koros now super low inside the death realm, and Paxax is just free to walk forward. The double up nearly kills Mlac there, trying to escape. But life is just rough here for the members of IMP. Ultimate in, Vuso is gonna die to that, so shut down over to Worm Jones again. Their Nexus turrets still stand. Paxax walking up a little bit too far forward there. The root comes through. The damage is down. Shutdown over. Cuttlebun is going to get one back as Worm Jones will fall, but I feel like that's something I've said a lot this game as now Cuttlebun, the one walking through. He's going to be able to take the second Nexus turret, and he's just not dying. That's a triple kill for him. Cuttlebun gets the Quadra. Give it to him. 1v4. Cuttlebun! Tangy is standing still.
No.
The band director wants to give it to him. The pentakill for Cuttlebun! And NGE will take us to game 3.
Koros, the MVP game number 1. Cuttlebun, the MVP game number 2. And off the back of a pentakill, securing that pretty much means, at this point right now, that NeoGen Xenos is here to play. So moving on to game number 3, of course at this point right now you wonder exactly what's going to happen. We did not get a side swap for game 2. So will we see a side swap for game number 3? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see it though. I think red side's so beneficial, especially now moving into this best of 3 in this fearless format. With a lot of these high priority picks being taken off the table, it gives you a lot more windows to be able to find those counter picks and those flexes for the rest of your team. But NeoGen, fantastic execution there in that game. And
oh yeah.
I was a little concerned, Brittany. Excuse me, you watched that game 1 and things just weren't clicking. Not really at all. I mean, there's no real options for them, and I'd almost argue maybe a bit of it there came down to, well, I mean, call it what you want, but band director played a good game. It's not like he didn't by any means, but having him on some sort of like facilitating support seemed to make a huge difference for the rest of the team. And with a 1-3-11 scoreline that really allows your MF to start making some moves. Vuso, completely different player when it came down to game number 2. Game 1 felt very stale, almost stagnant at times. Again, we kind of talked about the build there, but in game number 2, the first roam that he ended up making there, heading down towards that bot side, almost setting up a turret dive, just flashing over with that gap close with the Aurora ult 2, netting those 2 kills in the process. Put him online at one point, then he's 3-0, and before you know it, he's sitting at like a 6-1 scoreline, whatever it might be, has a 1,000 gold bounty. The rest of the members are doing fantastic too. Cuttlebon on the Mordekaiser, funnily enough, had a really difficult time in that early to mid game, that laning phase versus Koros. So Koros did a really good job in isolation, but when it came down to the actual team fights, Cuttlebun completely outclassed the side of Vancouver ImPact. So very much a good game number 2 here from them, and that's exactly what we expected to see.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of what we were hoping to see. We knew coming into this that just in terms of record and in terms of the strength of schedule and how they've been playing, I don't know if you did, but I was coming into this thinking like, okay, it's probably 2-0 or 2-1 in favor of NGE. I feel like they're the stronger team currently. They're looking really good in terms of their schedule, but coming out of game number 1, I was like, oh, is this just a 2-0 for IMP? Are they that good? Are they that underrated? But NGE locked down game number 2. They're going to push us to game number 3. And when we come back from the other side of this break, we're going to see who's going to take away this very important week number 5 match. NGE looking to fight for a playoff spot, and NGE looking to fight for the top of the playoff spots, whereas IMP is looking to just stay in a playoff contention for themselves. When we get to the other side of this break, we'll jump into the draft for game number 3. We'll see you over then. Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping right into the draft here. It's game number 3, the decider match between NGE and IMP. And the sides have finally swapped. NGE will be moving over to the blue side as IMP have selected red for this all-important game 3.
That's right. We're kind of wondering exactly what was going to be happening with this game 3, the draft itself, whether IMP wanted to prioritize that blue side with that first pick, or whether or not they wanted to prioritize those counter picks. Looks like we now get our answers as we do kind of round out this bit of a ban phase here. First 2 bans from NGE remaining the same. I almost wonder if that Lucian is also going to be following suit at this point right now.
We've seen Lucian, we've seen Sin.
That's right.
I wonder what this third ban is going to be. Maybe they have something different for blue side.
Yeah, that's right. You don't really know at this point right now. So we'll have to see exactly what they want to do.
Lucian, okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what that first pick is going to be. With the Caitlyn off the table, the Varus off the table, MF
a lot of bottom laners are gone.
Yeah, Sivir off the table. Like a lot of those AD carries.
Is it ever Callista?
I doubt. Maybe it's potential. I almost wonder if it's gonna be a control mage. It's not. I'm not even close. It's gonna be a Jarvan. So Jarvan coming through.
Something that works well with control mages, though.
For sure, 100% gives that early game setup there. Something that we saw ended up going really well for the side of NGE in that game number 2 with that Pantheon. Looks like we're just going to get that tried and true, that Lee Sin. Why not? Lee Sin actually has a pretty good matchup into that Jarvan too. You also have a lot of agency, so Lee Sin is one of those champions that does not scale. However, it does not matter. If you are a good Lee Sin, you can always make those plays and always have that impact. So IMP is going to round that out with an Ezreal as well. The Karma being off the table, we'll have to see what they're going to choose to pair with that Ezreal. Braum is still available, something to take quick note of, so could be an option for them. With that Tristana, that to me says you're going to be looking to go in as much as you possibly can. You might see some sort of a control mage here for this B3 from NGE, that'd be my guess, but you could also see an engagement.
I wouldn't hate Braum. I wouldn't hate Braum just in general for NGE. You stop the Ezreal ultis and you just play good defense as well as a good offense by denying the ability for Ezreal to actually get in, but also allowing Tristana to just kind of free hit. She has that extra attack speed steroid. You would also deny it away from IMP, but they are going to be the ones to pick that one up. Ezreal Braum is a good enough lane combo. I'm not upset with that. I think there are better pairings for Ezreal, but with Karma and Bard already off the table, you're kind of already knocking down to the B tier of pairings for him.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, at this point right now, NGE, if you do show your hand with the Braum, I like the Braum a lot of the times, but the one issue with the Braum is when you are going to pick it this early on, gives the enemy team that window to be able to pivot away from that engage style. So something like a Tristana generally, is going to see something like the Rel or the Leona being paired with it. In this case, you're not going to get that. So I'm a little surprised that those bans are coming through from the side of IMP. Braum just does so well into those, but you do have the window to pick something like a Rakan. Rakan does really well into Braum. You can also pivot away from that, do something like a Soraka, which Band Director has played before. You can also do something like the Zillion if you want to be a little spicy with it. So not saying that it's the best by any means.
Don't wish a Zillion into this game, please.
Yeah. Well, we might get it. We might get it. It'll be me on the rift, just an old guy, pretty much. So we'll have to see here. But I do think if you're going to look for that engage support, it's going to be that Rakan. Yeah, and there it is right there.
Yep.
100%.
Good call.
Rakan's a fantastic pick into that Braum. So that's kind of the issue that you run into with that Braum. And actually, I would have preferred to see that as a ban because that Leona's going to be stifled by the Braum. The Rel's probably going to be stifled too. So good pickup from NGE. We are going to get that for York too. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the bans are more targeted on who Band Director is as a player. The fact that they do play these engage style supports so well. We saw the Lulu in game 1 didn't have as much efficacy, but you put them on the Maokai in game number 2 when they just get to take over the map. So really just not allowing them to say like, hey, I'm just going to roam instead and make mid lane's life miserable, make top lane's life miserable, as it is actually going to be Yorick versus Shed up there in the top side. And Koros just loves these CC tanks. Is just a real big fan of the utility for their team. And you know what? You need a guy like that on your team. I respect the hell out of that.
Yep, absolutely you do here. There's no doubt about it at all. Shen's quite strong too in the meta. I'll be curious to see how well you end up sizing up against that York. My guess is you probably end up going first item. I think it's Titanic Hydra. That should help you deal pretty well with the ghouls, but I wonder
either Sunfire or Titanic, yeah.
Yeah, I think Titanic might be the tech here, just because of the ghouls, the AoE damage that you have. I think it'll be able to negate a lot of the York, like just the kit in general. But I think up until you have that item, or maybe you don't even go it, but I think once you get that item, I think things are gonna be a lot easier for you in that side lane. But of course, now we really got to look at these team comps as a whole here. So NGE in game number 2, they drafted a really easy to execute team comp. Well, in game number 3, they've done the exact same thing here. They have their very evident primary engage. It's going to be profit off the Jarvan here. He's going to look to go in, EQ, whatever it is. He's going to have a ton of gap close, especially with that flash available. You're going to have the Rakan following up as secondary, and then the Charm and everybody else following suit as tertiary. So NGE's drafted themselves a really easy execute team comp here once again for game number 3. IMP, they've drafted a bit more of a team comp that gives them some agency here in these fights. So what that kind of means to me is like you want NGE to come into you. IMP, if they're able to get that, find the right windows, they can force these fights and make a lot of things happen. I'm wondering how this Braum is going to work out. I'm looking at it right now and like I don't see a good angle for the Braum. Like Rakan's mobile, Tristana's mobile, Ari's mobile, Jarvan's mobile. And I think your best target's going to be that J-Force. So the Braum to me seems a little bit out of suit here, but I think the rest of the team come from IMP will work quite well with each other.
I think I worry a little bit about just the difference between what the mid lane and ADC want to do, where they want to be playing a much longer range game. They want to play poke. They want to play a little bit more passively, whereas Lee Sin Shen, they're champions who like to engage, like to be aggressive, want to be playing more towards the front line and playing a front-to-back style of team fight. But Braum is just kind of the middle ground between those two. He can defend the poke, but he can also engage with the front line. So I think he's kind of this connecting piece for this composition, whether they're playing defense or playing offense. Braum just kind of has have a leash on the two who are out of sorts and be like, no, you're playing with me. You play either up here or back here, and you just need to stay away from the enemy team or go towards the enemy team. One of the two.
For sure. I'm glad you mentioned too with IMP's team comp. It really is more of a poke style. That Shen's going to facilitate that angle where, yeah, if we do get engaged on, we have a bit of that peel. That Brahm's going to be able to do the same thing. So what that means with the poke comp is that you're going to want to get ahead. If you don't get ahead with a poke comp, if you have an Ezreal and a Zoe, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Trying to force fights when you're even is going to be difficult. So you need to be able to get those leads in the early to mid game, whatever it might be, then start getting set up as a 5-man unit. Probably 4-man unit, I should say, with that Shen splitting in the sides, and then look to punish as much as you can. So around these neutrals, it's all about river control and zoning the enemy team away from that river. If they try to walk in through chokes, you should absolutely be hammering them with as many skill shots as you possibly can. In NGE, once you retake that river, that's where things open up for you. But of course, IMP, they've drafted themselves a team comp that is harder to execute, but if executed well, is a very strong comp. So NGE, we'll see how well they're able to play around their easy to execute team comp, and already we see a little bit of shenanigans here, Brittany.
Yeah, both of these teams, I think, really want to be playing in chokes. You look at Tristana with the AoE bomb. You have Jarvan with the Cataclysm, wants to group up a lot of these people, especially comboing that with the Rakan and the Ahri as well to get those Orb of Deceptions hitting as many people as possible. But then you also see Zoe hitting bubbles in the choke. Ezreal just having a shooting fish in a barrel moment with his Mystic shots. And even Shen being able to line up extra people in a taunt because they are all kind of lined up like that. So I think a lot of the fights we're going to be seeing are in these tighter corridors or into the river or just in spots where the teams can clump themselves up and try and force the enemy team to be clumped up as well.
Absolutely. It all comes down to execution now, and at this point it's a best of 3, but really it's a best of 1. Everything that's happened previous is completely nullified and completely irrelevant here. So as we do see these waves crash in this mid lane here, both these mid laners are going to be jockeying for that priority here. Fuso having a fantastic game number 2. We'll have to see how well he's able to execute on this Ahri here. A lot of potential here for this mid-jungle duo, something that we've seen a lot from game 1 and game number 2, and hopefully we can see the same thing here for game number 3 for NGE here. And so far, both of these junglers starting on the opposite sides of the map. No real shenanigans when it comes to invading, no splitting the map, nothing like that. But of course, with this priority, I'm a little surprised to see Lee Sin moving towards his top side. Prophet, not surprised at all to see him moving down towards this bot, though, as we see a lot of trading already here, Brittany.
Yeah, you got to respect the Shen in the early game. He might be a tank, but he can absolutely shred your health bar in the early game. Now, Yorick is no slouch. He'll be able to trade back just fine, but Shen, without the mana necessary in his inventory, just relying on that energy is going to be a lot harder to trade back versus in the long run. So we'll have to see if Chorus can take control of this lane like we saw in game number 1 on that Shogath. As we see just posturing right now, and this is something that we see a lot in best of series when you get down to this final game, whether it's a best of 5 game 5 or best of 3 game 3. Players tend to get a little bit more passive. They tend to be a little bit more careful about what sorts of trades they're taking, what sorts of aggressive paths they're taking. You see them tend to be a lot more passive and a lot more chilled out because nobody wants to be the guy who made the mistake that lost your team the series, especially in these, what do they call it in baseball? Rubberneck matches, where it's like, it's the last game of the series and it decides the winner of the whole series. Nobody wants to be the guy to make the mistake that loses you the game.
Absolutely. This is all about the outcome right now at this point right here, 100%. And if you end up falling behind early, it could very well spell doom for the rest of the teams here. So we'll have to see exactly how well each and every one of these members is able to pilot the champions that they have drafted here. Of course, you can see Prophet already moving a little bit ahead in tempo here, this clear speed versus this Lee Sin here, able to net this grab, and maybe even can swing down or swing up through this mid lane here right now, as you do see the Jarvan kind of sitting in that river bush. Good position here from Prophet too, but MLAC crucially hovering towards the jungler. Do not want to overstep too much though. You can see him hovering in the spot side. This is a problem.
Wanted that Titanic Hydra proc, has to flash away, is going to be able to get the bubble proc back, and Vuso is going to eat a ton of damage thanks to that Titanic Hydra proc as well. Zoob wants to find that Sonic Wave, but Prophet doing a great job body blocking, not allowing that to come through, and will keep his mid laner alive. And what looked like such a good start for NGE turns right back around into an IMP win.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, well, the one thing to note, at the end of the day, well, yeah, 100% it did look like IMP came out. MLAC did burn his flash, so you could very well see a repeat gank coming in from there too, and I think that was a good heads-up move by Prophet to be able to get in that position and force that fight. And yeah, it really was that Titanic Hydra just trying to get that there for MLAC with that passive. Zoe does a ton of damage if you're able to pick up one of those actives, and that was the case right then and there. And of course, right now, you're going to see these TPs coming in through from both of these mid laners, trying to get, once again, this priority on this mid lane here. Hopefully, at some point, too, get some wards on that enemy Raptor camp. That's really where you want to be able to track your Corals in a bit of trouble here, taking some trades from Cuddlebun, and that is not fun, I will be honest. Yep.
Oh, we get the pause as we see Band Director end up disconnecting there. I'm assuming they'll be back hopefully fairly quickly. Maybe it is just a loss of internet or something. But we're getting to the point where Shen starts to lose out on some of these trades and York starts to get that little bit stronger. We'll have to wait and see on the either the reason for the pause or hopefully just getting back to the gameplay as, hey, there we go. I willed it into existence.
Fantastic. I'm so happy you did that. I'm so happy.
Yeah, actually, I have control whether the game pauses or restarts.
Yeah.
So anytime you see a pause, like right here, you can blame it on me. I just need a second to catch my breath so we can get back to the game.
I like this zoom in here. Of course, we're going to have this tried and true bug. I couldn't tell you how long this has been in the game for at this point. It's probably been 2, maybe 3 years. I don't know. I kind of lose track of time.
Surely longer.
Maybe it's longer than that. So while we wait out for this pause, of course, we can kind of take a look at these lanes. And more importantly, the lane states themselves here. You can see Cuddlebun in this top side really hammering Corals here. This is kind of what I was wondering about how this matchup is going to go. I think once you do have that Titanic Hydra, gives you a lot more windows as this Shen, but up until then, you could have a lot of problems here coming through. So the good news for Corals, you're farming quite well on this champion. You're going to hit that Stand United before you know it here. Once you do, then you're going to be able to impact the rest of the map. Equally so, we'll swing our attention through this mid lane as we are kind of hovering. Vuso still has his flash, so this gank can happen, but might not. Beautiful vision toggle here. Zoob fishing.
Yeah, Zoob will find the Sonic Wave and the Resonating Strike, but immediately gets charmed, so you're going to lose a lot of your HP there. A nice sleep from MLAC means that there's no counteraction here for Prophet. Just walks in, says hey, and then walks out.
Yeah, you almost wonder if the J4 wanted to try to fish for something there, but with Vuso, the mana that you just didn't have on the Ahri, there's really no option to be able to try to find that counter engage, and just a little bit of chunk comes through there. Vuso crucially doesn't burn his flash, and more importantly than that, is going to have that level 6 here very soon. So I think all those gank windows there for IMP in that mid lane pretty much nullified at this point. So anticipate Zoob to really be focusing on... Oh god, as I look at it, I don't really know what lane you kind of gank as IMP. That's kind of the issue that the more I look at it, it's like, do you gank
I feel like you have to try and gank bot because that's where your CC is, because you have the Braum set up, but you're also looking at Tristana Rakan as a very, very slippery bottom lane. You can try and gank top, but then you're ganking for your Shen, and that's not really your power lane, as MLAC in a little bit of trouble here. Vuso lands all 3 of the ultimates. One more auto should finish MLAC off. Does finally pick it up. It will also be the dragon over to NGE as Zoob not in time to save the mid laner. And NGE, a good early game, is going to net them control early on.
Yeah, Prophet getting the unofficial assist there, burning that flash earlier on, allows Vuso with that ultimate available to fish for that kill. Fortunately for him, very patient with the charm and is able to land it even through the minions there. And as soon as that charm lands, you know that MLAC's going to go down. And there's actually even more of a window here for another repeat gank on that Zoe too. You can see that flash timer probably got another minute and a half, 2 minutes on it. So J4 could pay another visit there, and Vuso, good heads up play, good patience to be able to net that first blood. And on top of it, as you mentioned, yeah, that dragon's going to go down too. Koro's battling these minions.
Yeah, you did call it out in the draft phase as well, the fact that you're going to be opting for the Titanic Hydra first just to deal with some of these minions. I thought it might have been the Sunfire, but I think the Sunfire might just be a little bit too slow and too passive to actually handle the Yorick ghouls. So Koros taking the more active approach and just wants to deal with them. Some nice use of that. I know it's called something. It's the Spirit's Refuge. I always want to call it Steadfast Presence, but that's Poppy W, not Shen's.
Yeah, I'm so out to lunch with the champion. You think after like 10 years of playing the game I would know, but I just don't. Tanky.
I thought so too when I started casting, but I do really have to study them from time to time, as we got to fight over these Broms here, as there's going to be an engage, knock up in. There's the Cataclysm. This is the combo that NGE were looking for, but do they have the damage to finish anyone off? Zoob goes down. Koros should be the next to go, but he's got Flash Tangy over the wall as well. And there's that combo, Rakan into Prophet, and it's just bodies hitting the floor.
Yeah, when that Cataclysm comes through from Prophet, hitting 3 members in the process, the rest of the damage follows suit, and it's so difficult for anybody in IMP to be able to deal with it. You just don't really have that go button either. So you trying to force a fight and pull trigger. Uh-oh.
Is Koros dead? I think Koros is just dead. He doesn't have Flash. He does have the Spirit's Refuge, so he'll block a lot of the autos, but Manages to sustain thanks to those biscuits. Very lucky that he does not end up falling there. We're starting to see the lane get rougher and rougher for this Shen.
For sure. You see Band Director here moving towards his top side too. It looks like NGE is setting
Zoob's
up some sort
here.
of that.
But so is Prophet. Yeah, Zoob now the one in trouble. Does not have the flash. Doesn't have a ward to hop to either. And that's just a dead Lee Sin.
Yeah, this is Band Director's game here. Game number 3, everything's on the line. You have that counter pick. You're able to roam, find those fights. Channeling, trying to get the Stand United. Doesn't get it. The charm comes through.
Yeah,
here we go.
Band Director in. It's going to be Chorus picking up 1, and Band Director can't finish this off. Sidesteps the little blorp as well. So now the Maiden tried to finish off Koros, but they just don't have the damage. Maiden's not targeting. Koros is going to survive the 1v3 under turret. Well played by the Shen.
I botched that little play-by-play that I tried there, but Koros absolutely did not, and kudos to him. I'm so surprised he ended up living, and not only that, taking a member with him there. So
doesn't have mana here, but neither does Vuso. Burned the ulti already, and both the mid laners are just going to walk away. They're going to say, hey, nice work.
Yep, we are done. We will go home, take our resets. MLAC's going to stay, actually. Looks to push that wave in here. Vuso does have the teleport. Both members do, so they should be able to just get the resets in and call it a day. And Koros just doing such a good job in that instance. The fact that you don't go down, let alone get a kill on top of that, is pretty mind-boggling, if I do say so myself. So at this point right now, NGE looking quite good. Stifled a little bit by IMP here, but Prophet moving down towards the spot side will be spotted on this board. Crucially for him, he does spot this board too, so knows that he's on vision. The next dragon here is going to be up in about that minute and 10 mark, so I anticipate all these members to take the resets if they have gold, spend the gold that they do have, and then of course look to contest this next dragon.
Yeah, Koros is going to taunt in onto Cuddlebun. The tanks are going to trade some health bars, but Maiden's up, Koros. I don't think you want this trade to go any longer. A nice little bit of movement gets away from the walls, but has to start being, I think, a little bit more careful as Yorick is really starting to get online. As soon as that Trinity Force is finished, it's Turret City for Cuddlebun.
Yeah, and York really is one of those champions that just risen in priority. I wouldn't say out of nowhere by any means, but you see it in LCK and mostly LPL, I should say, where it's actually getting B1 sometimes. So if that doesn't kind of tell you what's going on with this champion, I'm not so sure what will, but York's absolutely popping off in this meta right now, and I'm not too surprised at all to see Cuddlebun having the best of Koros at this time right now, and you can see those plated steel caps. I just call them the ninja tabbies, or the tabbies by any means. Just that old, I guess.
Most people do, don't worry. Yeah, you're not alone.
I don't know why they ever changed the name on that, but they did. That's okay. So we'll just complain a little bit here, fishing in with this EQ
Jones.
Profit.
Paxax jumps in, but Tangy is here. The boss reset is going to come through. Worm Jones has to use the barrier and the dash to get out. The ultimate comes through. Paxax doesn't die. Barely survives the damage. An aggressive play on the bottom side. Both AD carries end up with very little HP as Zoob. He uses that Dragon's Rage, gets Cuddlebun into the wall. They have Emlak here as well, but you have to respect the Yorick damage. He's going to find at least one, if not more. Will eventually get shut down. Emlak will find that kill, but you have to respect the Yorick work. Cuddlebun finds one in the 1v3.
Yeah, the cross map, the fact that NG is able to equalize that, go 1-for-1, on top of getting the Dragon, on top of getting a plate or two in mid, just means NGE is going to be able to accelerate this lead that much more here, and that really is off the back of Cuddlebun and that Yorick there. And once again, that's a fantastic, fantastic execution there. Both these top laners doing a really good job managing the aggro that the enemy team's trying to apply on them. Just gank after gank does not seem to be working in this top side really at all here. So IMP down 2 dragons at this point right now, 12.5, closing in on 13 minutes. Not the ideal position that you want to be in. You're going to want to be able to look to start setting up, at least contesting one of these dragons within the next 4 to 5 minutes, you would assume. But again, I'm kind of wondering at this point right now, Brittany, how are you going to force these fights? Because we talked about it. When you have a poke comp like this, you want to be the one who has the lead. When you have the lead, you can force fights. You can make a lot of things happen, but you need to be able to get the setup first. You need to make sure that the damage that you're doing is actually doing damage. And right now in this instance, you can see no Triforce being completed on Ezreal. Paxax already has his first item. First item for Emlak is going to be that Seraph's Embrace. Kind of curious about that. Here we go.
Band Director flashes in. The charm's going to come through. Beautiful. The portal comes through, so Emlak is going to avoid a ton of the damage. Wow. Now Prophet's the one in trouble. Electrocute smites him from the heavens, and Emlak survives the gank.
The flash from Emlak was really clutch. Of course, you're going to get that move speed from that Zoe passive, but more important than that, being able to buffer with that teleport, that blink, to be able to actually dodge the rest of that damage they're coming in for Profit, on top of being able to land the rest yourself. Uh-oh, Worm Jones.
Oh, Worm Jones. We've seen this one before. Does have to stay united, though, so Paxax is going to jump in. They're going to try and finish it off. Koros doesn't manage to land the taunt. The Buster shot pushes away Worm Jones, and everybody on the bottom side is going to walk away. And Director eats one more Mystic Shot, and that lethal tempo for Rock does quite a bit of damage. Zoo will get a blue buff steal away on the top side of the map as Charlie's on Amlac, has the Ghost, but doesn't have the flash. And Uso with no ulti has the flash, but just doesn't have the cooldowns to chase it down. Is just going to take a small victory.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. Fuso probably just no cooldowns there. I think the W was used in the process there. Did have the flash to maybe be able to fish, but I guess Mlac had the Ghost, so almost a kill there for the Ahri. Once again, another solo, but at the end of the day, it's not. We're just going to equalize there. Mlac's going to get back on the map. Does have his teleport here too. More than likely going to be using that for this next dragon here. And NGE just continuing to put pressure here on this map. The gold lead remains the same, but the neutrals are not at all. Not a single neutral has gone to the side of IMP in this game number 3, and NGE just really setting up here for a good, solid mid game.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of what happened in game number 2. IMP just couldn't get on top of any of the neutral objectives. I think they only got the grubs, which didn't end up netting them very much as they couldn't touch turrets. As Tangy in a bit of trouble here. The Eclipse proc from Prophet does a bit of damage, but it's not the target they wanted, so they are just going to back off. With the Rift Herald spawning and dragging up in 2 minutes, it feels like NGE are just going to continue playing for these neutral objectives. It's working well for them.
And it's very difficult now for IMP to be able to contest, even with the same numbers. If you equalize for a 4v4, being able to win this fight in this top side is very difficult. So, first and foremost, you need to be able to retake, gain control of the river, get set up, and actually start landing your poke. The only issue is, of course, you do not have access to this river right now. So when you're held off at these chokes, it's damn near impossible as a poke comp to be able to actually get set up. And crucially for NGE, this is going to be the 4-for-4 when it comes down to the neutral objectives for them. Even better than that, they're actually going to be able to take the resets here and get ready. Oh, Paxax and Worm Jones.
Oh, Worm Jones. One more Mystic Shot. Won't manage to find it. Does not want to go under turret because that Explosive Shot passive means that the... Whoa, bubble cleanse away from that Explosive Shot passive.
Yeah, did that bubble end up hitting Paxax or something? I didn't notice, but the cleanse was burned there.
Yeah, cleanse was burned, so I have to assume that it did make contact, and they just didn't want to die to a Zoe over the wall. Band Director here not playing defense, making sure that Paxax can pick up this wave before they recall. Good support work, just making sure the AD carry stays safe. And we haven't actually seen too much out of the bottom lanes in this game, as opposed to the first 2 games, which were very bottom lane focused. This one is very much to the rest of the map playing the game.
That's right, yeah, we've really seen Band Director and Prophet sync up a ton, just like what we're seeing right now. And
no, they're looking for the all-in, but Prophet now the one in trouble as Tangy was in the area, and they're just going to find that kill. Band Director will find the charm onto Zoo. The exhaust down as well, thanks to that Summoner spellbook, but not managing to find much else. Koros and Cuddlebun in the meantime, trading heavily to the top side. Cuddlebun flashes for the York Slam. That shovel comes down hard, and unfortunately, Koros did not know that rush was warded.
Nope, unfortunately not. Flash being traded up topside, but Cuddlebun once again going to get that edge, sitting at that 3-1 scoreline. That turret's also going to be going down in the process, which almost guarantees that first brick for NGE. You can see IMP have agency on this river right now. Uso is forced to reset. He's going to TP, but more than likely this dragon is already gone. So IMP weathering a bit of the storm here, denying some of this dragon stacking. Good for them, but Cuddlebun, that ticking time bomb is pretty much there, especially with that second item now being completed. And in the side lane,
oh god,
yeah, NGE is just looking so good right now in these side lanes. You
I'm
can swap. Here we go.
Has the exhaust, so Paxax is going to do a lot less damage thanks to that Zoe passive. That Summoner spell coming in very handy. We mentioned in game number 1, we had a big issue with Russo and that itemization going for the Seraphs first. We haven't harped on as much. I feel like we need to be fair. Mlac opted for a very passive itemization here on the Zoe. Now, Zoe isn't meant for as much early game domination as a Talia Zin is, as Tangy now taking a bit of damage. Russo holding onto those Spirit Rush charges, burns that second. Maybe looking for a Charm cooldown, but just doesn't have it, so Tangy will walk away. But for Mlac, it's not as egregious as game number 1, but it's still not good.
I tend to agree with you as well. Yeah, usually by that, well, what does Zoe's normally build? Is it Do they go the Blackfire Torch? I can't even. It's been.
I have to assume that they go Hextech Revolver. I can double check on that really quickly,
Maybe,
though.
yeah. We'll fact check ourselves on that one, and we'll get the right idea. I think the Ceres, I'm a little curious to see how it's going to end up piloting out here. As you can see, double the Fiendish Codex is being completed for MLAC. Right around that 2 items, though, of course, when that's always going to start to spike. So that's really what we're going to be paying attention to when that second item comes through for MLAC. Expect a lot more damage to be happening for the side of IMP. Worm Jones taking a little bit of damage in this process here, really just jockeying around for this mid priority, but IMP's team comp really does start to come online right around this 2 item spike once that Mermaid is actually stacked up there too for Worm Jones. So once a poke starts to land, once a poke starts to hurt, that's where IMP is actually going to be able to get accelerated into this game state. The only issue is they've conceded a lot of these neutrals. Fortunately for them, they have denied that soul point, so that does buy them another 5 minutes in the process here. But they're losing in the side lane right now. The 1v1 in the mid, not going exactly as well as what they were probably hoping for. Paxax and the band director have had a good lane phase themselves. So overall, NGE still continuing to be in the spotlight here. They're the ones who are controlling the pace of this game. It really does seem like, honestly, Brady, too, it's off the back of this Rakan here. The Rakan's been doing such a fantastic job here in this game, syncing up with Prophet, making things happen together.
Yeah, we called this out in the draft phase. Just the fact that Band Director is so good on these engage supports, and this is kind of what we expected out of him. The Lulu in game 1 wasn't that great. Maokai in game 2, quite literally a carry. And in game number 3, this Rakan has been a big piece of why they're at the very least a little bit ahead in terms of tempo, as Vuso is just gone. MLAC lands a trouble bubble into the Paddle Star, says goodbye thanks to some help from Zoom. I did fact check our build paths. Apparently, for the most part, Zoe's in higher elo, Diamond and above, are going the Luden's Companion into Pen Boots, into Medjai's second item. So maybe not the Medjai's in a place in a situation like this, but I would have liked something like the Ludens as Tangy, looking for a potential all-in. Worm Jones is here, so is Prophet. I think Prophet is just popping the Rift Herald to try and help out. A nice ulti from Tangy, that Glacial Fissure, putting in a lot of work. The ulti still comes through. Worm Jones with the fade away. Thanks to the assist from Paxax. They'll lose the turret, but they'll get one back on the top side.
That's a good answer coming through there for the side of IMP there. At the end of the day, Prophet is going to be going down there. You can see, once again, we're continuing to jockey around this mid-priority here. 2 members of IMP in this top side here. If I'm not mistaken, the Atacon is up, and the Atacon is probably going to be going down here now with Prophet's death. 9 seconds remaining on that timer here, and this almost certainly guarantees the Atacon for them. I think this is the smartest move that NGE can make. You try to force some sort of tempo on the map, get some sort of advantage. You can see them catching this mid wave extremely high here, trying to chunk this tier 2 mid turret as much as they possibly can. And I think this is the best move that you can make given the circumstances and really the hand that you're dealt.
Yeah, I think it's going to allow them to potentially set up for the Dragon as well, which is in just about 45 seconds. They're going to be able to take the full turret thanks to those 3 grubs as well. So a nice little chunk of change for them and some extra map control, given that it is that mid tier 2. It means that they have a lot more agency to step inside that red side jungle.
That's right. You can see IMP right now. They do have tempo right now. They are able to get back on the map. They reset. They sync their timers. So they're moving, getting pressure around this mid lane here, and then actually now beginning to set up around this river here. And you see NGE, the members. We see that Rakan and that Tristana just a little late to the jump here. Prophet's almost just waiting for the rest of his team to sync up here so they can contest with his next dragon. But IMP with river control, this is exactly the spot that you want to be with this poke style of team comp here. So it's all about landing your abilities now if you're IMP. You can see Worm Jones moving to get mid priority there. Pushing that mid wave in is going to force NGE to respond. You can see Vuso moving right now, and this is IMP's timer.
Yeah, I also like that Band Director has opted for this Mikhail's first item. Yeah, your AD carry already has Cleanse, but a Zoe Bubble means death for pretty much anybody on your team except for Cuddlebun. He's just going to block the Paddle Star this time around. I think that's the right call in this case. You don't want to burn it too early. Dragon's getting down super low. A nice disengage, but somehow Band Director with that smite is going to steal away the Dragon. And now IMP, you have to try and salvage some kind of a fight here, because otherwise NGE have just walked away with murder. Koros is on the run, trying to escape. Prophet gets the Cataclysm in, but he can't find any other targets. Koros will survive with a sliver of HP. Zoob on the other side of the fight, making a 1v2 happen, and fairly happy with it, but can't find any kills. Prophet flag and drags it in. MLAC doesn't land the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, so Prophet will be able to walk away. And NGE get away with daylight robbery.
NGE, one member falls. Paxax is the sacrificial lamb, but at the end of the day, the fact that Band Director secures that dragon means you're now sitting on Soul Point, which is
Spellbook
exactly
Smite!
exactly the position you want to be. Yeah, and the spellbook. I'm glad you pointed. I didn't even notice there for some reason. Uh-oh.
Huddlebond gets picked up on the bottom side. Band Director is going to eat a little bit of damage too, as Koros stuck on a minion there for a second, but I think he's feeling fine now. TP in from MLAC. They really want this bottom lane turret. I don't know if the teleport was really needed, but they get the turret for it. The TP is just not that great.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what you just said there, Brady. I feel like that tier 1 was already gone. Pushing for tier 2 really just isn't much of an option there. So the TP sure gets the Zoe back on the map that much quicker. Can understand that in some regards, but yeah, I feel like that tier 1 was already secured there. And now lane assignments could be a little bit tricky here for the side of IMP. We'll have to see exactly how they're able to salvage this point right now. You can see Coral's doing so much damage with that Titanic Hydra there. That Shen is really starting to hurt and managed to actually keep up really well in CS with Cuddlebun on the York, getting those 3 kills in that lane early on. Most of the time,
it's the nice thing about the Titanic Hydra.
Yep.
It's the nice thing about the Titanic Hydra. It helps you farm a little bit. It helps you wave clear that a little bit faster. Yeah, it's good against the York ghouls, but it also just keeps you in wave clear contention with the York. It allows you to not instantly lose side lane if York starts to get a push in like he has been this game.
Yeah, and Shen has actually a deceptive amount of damage too.
Oh, yeah.
Titanic Hydra. It's actually
wait, is he? Wait, hang on a minute. What is that in Shen's inventory? What am I looking at there? Yeah. Is this Navori Quickblade Shen? Are we doing Volibear on Shen now?
110%. That's exactly what you're seeing right here. No
oh my god.
Koros really just wants to be able to find that 1v1. And I think being able to pick that item up when you do have those 3 items could actually mean that you have that 1v1 advantage versus Cuddlebun. I'm yet to see it, so we'll have to see exactly how that plays out. But by picking up that item, it's extremely strong right now. I know it sounds crazy to say, but that really is the tech when it comes to Shen. Going more of that damage style with that Navori, you pretty much have perma-taunts up all the time, and that's really where you can make a lot of plays happen. You control side lanes better, team fights better, lots of windows come through here, and Tangy, wisely so, spots this out here. You can see just how much priority NGE is putting around this next dragon, and it makes sense with that 2-minute timer. You see these members hovering and sitting in that bot side quadrant of IMP. Coral's trying to push these waves, catch them as high as he possibly can, but NGE just continues to be in a fantastic spot regardless of the gold.
Yeah. NGE, I think, feeling fairly comfortable with the spot that the game is in. They're not feeling pressured to make any sort of moves. They're on Soul Point thanks to that big smite from Band Director. Feels weird to say that about a support, but Spellbook will do that to you, as Tangy potentially in trouble here. Has that Unbreakable though, so will be difficult to take down. Thankfully, Braum very, very tanky with that lock-in in inventory as well. So IMP needs to find some way to keep control of this river and make sure that they can get this dragon, because if you give Hextech Soul to an Ahri, to a Tristana, even to the York for even more side lane power, it feels like this game will spiral out of control very quickly.
For sure. Being able to net that tier 1 in that mid lane for IMP would be very crucial.
That's completed Navori.
But, yep, now it is. I guess we'll see exactly how this build actually... See, I've seen this build in solo queue, and I've seen it on some videos where, yeah, it's pretty cheeky, it does a lot of damage, but now we actually get to see it in a do-or-die competitive game. So, Koros, balls to the wall by all means. Love to see it. We'll see exactly how well this Navori ends up piloting out. And IMP's team comp is actually really starting to ramp up at this point right now. Like, being at this state... 2.5 items, 3 items really on MLAC, like the poke is going to hurt. Your side lane, you have that threat now. So NGE, while they have these neutrals, they put themselves in a fantastic spot with that early game, the way that they were able to play. That Dragon steal from Band Director is fantastic, but of course now it really does come down to the brass tacks here. It's all about this next objective here in 15 seconds, and both teams need to play around this mid priority. You can already see Worm Jones getting advantage here, but Paxac and Band Director are able to equalize, and it's all about river control now, Brady.
Yeah, this dragon up in about 2 seconds. Flag being used just for a bit of vision control. Dragon started up by IMP. Smite not picked up for the Band Director. I don't know if he has it as an option. The Summoner Spellbook requires you to cycle through a couple of options before you get all your picks up, as Chorus on the top side is going to be forced out. We've got the fight potentially starting to be engaged on the bottom side, but Chorus is still just on the run. MLAC looking for more poke, trying to get more work done. Zoe's so annoying, but Vuso so far unspotted on the back line. Chorus now potentially the one in trouble as Band Director has rotated up, has the flash, has the ghost, is just looking for the all-in. Chorus is going to be the one to fall, and the rest of the members of IMP do not have this dragon started. And now NGE are looking to take advantage of a weakened IMP. Their top laner is down to the next 45 seconds. That's super long death timer. It's really going to make a big difference in this fight. Worm Jones trying to provide some poke, trying to provide a little bit of damage. But the members of NGE say, yeah, you can focus on the dragon. You can stay towards that. That's fine. We'll take your base if you do, as Tangy now potentially the one in trouble, has to flash away from that wall of souls. And NGE just continue to own this lane. The mid lane is the one they're playing through. Paxax is going to continue to push it down. They're just pulling IMP apart. A decision has to be made. Are you going to turn to the dragon and give up your inhibitor, or are you going to defend the inhibitor and give up soul? MLAC now engaged on, flashes away from that cataclysm. A big engaged tool burned as TP's coming through from Cuttlebun. He feels like the team needs him here for this fight. Recall in from MLAC, hoping to get back in time, but he doesn't have the time. He has to just come through. TP in, Zoom flashes away from the charm. TP's in from Koros. He's managed to arrive. Smite comes through. Profit has the dragon, and now with the Hextech Soul, can they get more done? Cuddlebutt finds Zoom. MLAC is the next to go. Boost is going to start to get resets, and Paxax on the back line. IMP falls apart, and NGE are going to look to take the series win.
NGE, that sequence was phenomenal. It all started with Cuttlebun denying Koros the ability to take that reset. Band Director then forces a fight, burns his flash and ultimate, and at that point you might as well. The death timers are so long at that point. They're able to get the kill on the Shen, and then after that they do such a good job of pushing that mid wave, but more importantly they catch the mid wave high, which means that IMP is now forced. They're checkmated. Do we contest the mid wave and prevent them from trying to take our tier 3, potentially our inhib? Or do we try to force the dragon? And in a 5v4 situation, Cuttlebun burns his teleport, they force that fight, they end up coming out ahead in the bot side, in the mid side, and the top side. And now of course they're able to take the reset, get back on the map, and the world really is their oyster. They have tier 2s in both top and bot. It's all about where they want to set up, and now they control the pace of this game.
Now, I really thought NGE was going to just end the game there. I think with the Hextech Soul and with 5 members pushing, you can probably just take the Nexus. They opt for the safer play instead. They just turn back towards the Baron and let Cuttlebun take that inhibitor turret in the mid lane. So they're going to get something out of it, and they have the Baron buff to continue pushing, but that is definitely the safer play. We'll see if it ends up biting them in the butt. I doubt it will, but there's always the possibility. There's never a 0% chance you're going to lose a game of League of Legends until the enemy Nexus falls.
100%. I've won many games that I should have lost, and I've lost many games I should have won. So
absolutely.
Of course, now we do see this Baron setup, the Baron power play being established here from NGE in this top side. The sleep connects, but no further damage. And of course, now this tier 2 almost certainly going down. We'll also have to pay attention to Cuttlebun in that side lane in the bot. Starting to pressure Koros with those Navori quick blades. Whether or not Shen can get that advantage with the Baroned up minions, I'm not so sure here. And this really does
be a lot
become
tougher.
real issue. Yeah, it's so difficult here. Has some good wave clear, mind you, but even still, Cuttlebun doesn't even have to take this turret. He just has to keep the Shen there. If Koros can't move, can't react, can't burn that ultimate to force the fight with the rest of the members, then he's
and if he does burn the ultimate,
point.
If he does burn the ultimate, that inhibitor is going down because he doesn't have teleport to get back to that bottom lane. So if a fight breaks out here and he feels the need to burn that ultimate, as Worm Jones is going to eat a chunk from that explosive charge, Paxax will eat a little bit of damage as well, but the siege is just going to continue to pile on here. Inhibitor's being focused down. That mid lane inhibitor did end up falling. Charm lands. It's on to Tangy, though, so it's not the target they want to engage on. They're just happy to continue the siege. They have the Tristana. They have the Ahri. They know they can just play the aggressive pushing game. And they don't need to worry about actually engaging a fight because they have Cuttlebun on the side lane, just winning it out versus the Shen.
That's right. Koros had to take that resets, get some of that HP. You can see them trying to fish to chunk down Profit, but unfortunately,
I think this might just end up being engaged. They're going to look to try and just take this fight in the mid lane as Koros is just dying on the bottom side. MLAC engaged on in the bottom lane, ends up getting bursted down. Paxax will fall, but I don't think he cares at this point. I think he knows this one is all done, but the Nexus, a double kill over to Profit, making a triple kill as Cuttlebun is unstoppable on this side lane. Koros continuing to try and wave clear, but the Titanic Hydra means nothing in the face of the ghouls. And NGE, a rough game 1, but they will take a complete series victory.
NGE, game 1, we were very much worried. But game 2 and game 3, that team showed up, they came ready to play, and they pulled off the exact team comp, they pulled off the exact style that they needed to, and at the end of the day, it felt like their team comp was just easier to execute. In that phase 2, with that Braum pick, both you and I liked the Braum, but we think we should have targeted that Rakan at some point, maybe, or at least had some sort of an answer for it. Band Director on that champion absolutely popped off that 0-0-12 scoreline, being able to set up constant plays, whether it's on top, playing for neutral objectives, securing those, finding picks on Koros in the later stages of the game. The Rakan was a menace, and really you don't have an answer for it. Nobody can really stop it. Shen has a little bit of CC with a taunt, okay. Lee Sin, no CC. Zoe with a sleep, a little bit. Ezreal and Braum. Rakan has full agency, Tristana has full agency, Ari, Jarvan, and York all do. And that team comp that they drafted, they pulled it off extremely well. They executed the way that it needed to. Cuddlebun did a fantastic job too, preventing Chorus from actually being able to get into really any fight. I think we saw one Stand United being used aggressively. The rest of the time it was pretty much nullified. So
yeah, it was good stuff from NGE. Now I'm a big fan of pick and champion versatility and playstyle versatility, and I think it's really important that players are able to play multiple styles. But NGE, if you put Band Director on anything but an engage support again, I think you're actively trying to lose the game. This guy is a god on engage supports, 0-0-12. The only person in this game who did not die is the engage support Rakan. The engage support. The guy who goes in first. You can't ask for better than that. He secured the dragon. Let him play engage supports. Don't put him on Lulu anymore. Keep him away from Lulu, from Soraka. Just let him play the Rakans, the Leonas, even the Braum every once in a while, sure. But let the man play something with agency.
That's right. And it's not like Band Director had a bad game one. It's just when you pick that range support, when you have that Lulu, it becomes difficult for you to sync up with the rest of your team, or more importantly, your jungler, and actually force the agency and force the agenda. So, in the end of the day, yeah, if you're able to get those high agency, early impact supports in the hands of Band Director, that's really where it seems like this team starts to accelerate. And from game 1 to game 2 and game 3, it's a completely different team, and NGE really showed why they are the contender for that first seed in this bracket here. So kudos to them. Good effort too. I mean, you got to give it to Vancouver ImPact. They played quite well, like all said and done. Game number 2, we were a little bit worried about their draft. Game number 3, maybe a little bit too. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, you fix up a little bit of your draft, I think you're A-okay. But these guys came up, they came ready to play, and I think they had a fantastic performance there for themselves too. It's just, unfortunately for them, it just wasn't quite enough to take down NGE.
Yeah, I think a really good showing from them in game 1, and they have a lot to learn from the other 2 games. So in the end, it's a losing day. It doesn't feel great, but you have a lot that you can take away from this and hopefully come up in the rest of the weeks that are left, the last 2 weeks. Maybe still fight for that playoff contention spot. I don't know if they are mathematically locked out yet. I have to double check on that, but that's something to check in on another time, maybe next week when the other crew gets to you. But for now, that's going to be it for us tonight. I've been What to Brady. That's been Turk. Our producer, Shivam, solo handling things tonight, making sure things run as smoothly as possible. We appreciate you all being here, and we will see you next week for more Titan Esports Vanquisher action. Have a good night.